Let's see what happens. Nothing. It's all broke. Nothing's gonna work. The stream's congested. Are we? Are we live? I don't know, man. I don't know if we're live. I started seeing something. I see some gameplay there. What's going on, chat? I am. We're gonna have some backstage this morning, guys. You're gonna have to give me a second here. Pong said he's gonna be a soldier and wants to chop it up with you guys. Pong's muted? No, Pong shouldn't be muted. He definitely shouldn't be muted. Yeah, you shouldn't be muted. You're on the right source. Everything is good. Okay. Let's see here. Well, if you can't tell, it is one of those mornings thus far. And now, Pong stuff isn't working. So that's always an interesting feat to run into here. I don't even see... Where is his source? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm looking for your source in here. Okay, well, your source is in here. That's interesting. Okay. No existing. We're gonna add application console. Boom. How about that? Can you guys hear Pong now? Top it up.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. It has Steel finally decided to bring me back to the show.
Let me know if he is locked in, ladies and gentlemen, please. Let me get. I'm gonna check some things if I can on my side.
Yes, I can hear me.
You can hear you now?
Yes, I can hear me now. We're good.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So your bars were showing up, but for whatever reason, your actual source wasn't in here, which that doesn't typically work with OBS.
Why are you stealing my source?
Hey man, I can't help it, man. I will say this morning is also going to be streamed live to Twitch also. So not only are we live on YouTube, just slacking right now, but we're also live on Twitch to all the new audience that might be there. And we're slacking there too. So hey, it's a great morning.
Let's go. Welcome everybody wherever you are watching us live or listening to us live on a Saturday morning. We're gonna do home repair with Steel. I think that would actually be a hell of a show, Steel. Oh, no. Good God. The hype train, the splitter hype train is rolling through a town near you. Listen up, chat. Listen up, chat. That's right. Choo-choo, motherfuckers, because we are just getting the show started. Steel is dealing with plumbing problems because he's got gators stuck up in the toilet or boas or something going on.
Boas in the toilet.
Boas in the toilet. You got to watch out, man. I know this Florida stuff. You got to open up the seat and check every time because you might have a big ass snake coming for you. All right. So you don't want that. That's not a way to die on the toilet but that doesn't matter because the Splitters hype train is rolling through a town Yeah, go do your thing. Near you. But normally it rolls through at Mach 2.0, but you all got to get ready because the Dragon Heart Yobi, that's right. The Dragon Heart Yobi said, guess what, guys? We ain't starting out at Mach 2.0. No. We got to clear some new track. because the hype train's now at a Mach 3.0 to start off a Saturday morning. The one and the only Dragonheart Yobi comes through overhead, the stealth bomber dropping coal into the furnace from about 10,000 feet. That's right. This is a low bombing run, everybody. A 50 bomb from the Dragonheart Yobi. He comes in here and he says, peace, love, life. Let's start this off right. Peace, love, life, brothers. Another chance to live and another 24 hours to make it work. I woke up feeling amazing, gents. Life is amazing. Let's make it happen and let's make sure that those devil's man cry love. Oh, Yoey. Making it easy on everybody to follow you up this morning on the hype train, Mach 3.0 on an early Saturday morning in January. Love you, Yobi. Love you, Yobi. I love all of you. See you all in their chat. As you can tell, my pre-workout has not kicked in yet. The mouth is not functioning with the brain quite properly, but we're going to get there as Steele goes and does some home repair this morning. Oh, we were having a good time behind the scenes because Steele just had one of those looks this morning, folks. When I kicked on the camera and jumped into the back room, and there's Steele, and he's just got that smile like, yeah, this is not that Saturday morning I wanted. So we are going to go live. I am going to take over while Steele tries to get the gator or the boa or whatever the hell else is in his pipes out, so his toilets can work. Because that man's got a whole lot of women in the house, and you can't have plugged toilets when you got a whole lot. Wait, I mean, you can't have plugged toilets anyways, even if you're in a man house. But sometimes we'll deal with stuff a little bit more than sometimes when there's a house full of women. So. He's going to go take care of that. But great to see everybody in here. And you know what? You see this? Yobi came in and got it up to Mach 3.0. And of course, Staccato, not to be outdone, says, I just watched you do that stealth bombing run. Choo-choo, motherfuckers. We're going to add some cars because Yobi just laid some tracks. And I know the goal stays at 69 here on Living Split Screen. So Staccato says, guess what? We're just going to get this train up to Mach 4.0 because we got to get a lot more people buckled into those 4-point harnesses because we got a lot to cover today. And we got to get a little bit faster. So Staccato comes in with the 50 megaton bomb as well. Thank you, Staccato, for getting the splitters hype train up to a Mach 4.0 early in the show with the 50 bomb, keeping this ad-free. Yobi and Staccato have made a declaration this morning and said, Living Split Screen is not going to have ads. We're not going to see any of that BS on this channel in 2024. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for dropping on by and keeping us ad-free, keeping us coffee bean free as well. So we don't have to go ahead and try to sell you some bags of coffee. Love you guys. Love you guys. Means the world to see all you amazing people in here already early this morning in chat. We do have a lot to talk about today, chat. It's been a week. I don't know where the conversation is going to go. I'm sure most of you all watch a ton of podcasts because I see you guys in chats all the time. A lot of you I met for the first time when I popped in chats before I even podcasted. So we don't know. I don't know where the conversation is going to go. The details have been talked about to death at this point, as far as, you know, the stuff that happened this week with the layoffs and Xbox. There's a lot of doom and gloom out there. We talked about this last night on Xbox Ultimate. Mav decided not to deep dive the topic again, but more talk about, you know, some of the positives. And that's not capping, I guess, as the kids call it. That's not, excusing it away at all. It's industry wide now. There's a lot of bad going on with all the positive, with all the good going on, with all the games dropping, with all the content happening, with all the growth, with things like Palworld coming out of nowhere and becoming a phenomenon, overnight, basically. which is awesome to see in the video game industry. I mean, again, that shows the health of this industry. That shows that you can have good stuff come from anywhere, no matter what. And that means that it's not just the big boys playing in this industry anymore. Or I shouldn't say anymore. It never really has been. It's still got AAA, AA, indie, and the indies, the AA's can find as much success as the AAA can if you do it right, if you make a game fun, if you hit the magic, right? So still a lot of goodness to talk about there as well. We've got new games to talk about. I know for a fact that Steele and I will both be, when we get to our intros here, hopefully if Steele doesn't get caught in the pipes of his home as he crawls through them and cleans them out, we will be talking about Tekken 8 for sure. Tekken 8 dropped like a dragon, infinite wealth drop. Now, I'm holding off on that one. Steele hasn't bought it either. I don't know if he will ever buy that one. He's tried the Yakuzas, and I don't know if he's into them, but maybe he'll eventually try Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. But right now, it's about Tekken 8. And Tekken 8 is special. We'll just put it that way. We'll save some of that for the intros. What else we got going on? We got Diablo Season 3 out. Me and Mav have been rocking that a little bit, Fire Sorks. So might get into that, but we got some things to talk about for sure. So chat, let me know you're out there. I gotta hit up some people here real quick. Let's talk about this as the hype train is traveling at Mach 4.0 now. Let's get some quick shout outs while we're waiting for Steele, huh? Let's see who's in the chat early on a Saturday morning. Thank you all for being here. But Quick Draw Canuck. I'm assuming Quick Draw Canuck that you are the hooded Canuck in disguise with a new name. Let me know, but great to see you, hooded Canuck. It's Timmy is here. What's going on? It's Timmy. We got the Nam Omar in the house. What's going on, Nam? We got God Emperor Sofa King here, of course, as always. Thank you. We got Tim the Sorcerer in here. Speaking of Sorks, we got one right in here. Legendary Yobi says, Pong Soul, I hope to see you doing some solo streams this year, man. You are important. Much love, brother. We are going to see how that goes this year. I would love to do it. Real life being what it is, you're definitely going to see me and Steele streaming more for sure in the next couple of weeks because of all the games coming out. We're gonna have a lot of co-op action going on, but I hope to get that started. Yobi, I appreciate you, brother, as always. Lore Master Jasper, the actually guy who we found out last night. I broke his secret on Xbox Ultimate. He is going to be leaving after February the podcasting scene for we don't know how long, an extended period. But I broke his secret. He didn't want to tell anybody, but he is a time traveler. So he is going back to the future. Yes, I said it. He is going back to the future. And now you all understand why he doesn't like a whole lot of, he's just like whatever about this gaming these days, because he's seen the future. He's played the real virtual reality. So Lord Master Jasper, shout out to you, brother. Thank you for dropping in here. We got Poison Maniac in the house, of course. Always great to see you. We've got the one and only Decado dropping bombs this morning along with Yobi. Appreciate you, Decado, as always, coming in here and saying hi to everybody so much. We got the Fuzzy Belvedere in the house. I'll be joined Fuzzy last night, of course, on Xbox Ultimate. And of course, Fuzzy and I will be on the Shop podcast over on PTK Blam's channel later tonight. The brother from another Fuzzy coming on in here. We got the Sanchez MTZ Gaming. What's going on, Sanchez? Great to see you this morning, sir. We got General Spartan 27 in the house. What's going on, General? Who else we got? We got Andrew Cullinane. What is going on, Andrew? We got Stanley Francois. What's going on, Francois? Great to see you this morning. He says Florida is the best state. Yeah, but you guys got a lot of critters. Again, my dad lives down there, so I can talk about Florida, but you guys got a lot of critters compared to up here in Minnesota. We do have critters up here, but not like that. You guys got big critters. You got dangerous critters. Who else we got in here? We got Oates in the house. What's going on, Oates? We got Double Barrel Gaming. otherwise more famously known as the one and only Mr. Boomstick in the house. What's going on, Boom? Great to see you, sir. And again, continued success, brother, to you and your channel. You guys are killing it over there. Your panels are always amazing. I'm lurking a lot, Boom. You know, I'm out there listening when I can. Not I can't do it like I used to, obviously, but damn, Boom, you're killing it. So great to see you in here, Boom. Thank you so much for all the things that you do. Geezer Prime is in the house. We got Raymond Haverfield in the house. What's going on, Raymond? We got Xander L. What's going on, Xander? We got Ozzy Fan 80 in here. What's going on, Ozzy? I heard Ozzy, and I'm assuming that's why you said Ozzy Fan, Ozzy Osbourne. I'm assuming. Correct me if I'm wrong. If there's another more famous Ozzy or another famous Ozzy out there that I'm not aware of, but Ozzy Osbourne is going to play a couple last shows, I heard, by the way, too. So that's pretty cool to see. But great to have you here, Ozzy Fan. Who else we got in here? Who else? Psychonauts, brother Psychonauts. He did a clopin. And for anybody who's not in retail, and I don't know how widespread that term is used, maybe that's a Midwestern thing, but I worked some retail, a lot of retail actually. But we call it a clopin. Psycho closed the store last night, and I believe he had to open the GameStop store this morning. Psycho, thank you for dropping on in here and listening to us, sir. Appreciate it, brother, so much. And have a good day, man. I hope they don't. I hope it goes easy for you today. Who else we got in here? And I think that's about it. Unless who dropped in the bottom a little bit here. We got King Chili's in the house. What's going on? We've got Joe Dunmore. Joe Dunmore's in here. What's going on, Joe? Always great to have you a part of the show. Eastside Vandals in here. What's going on, Eastside? Great to have you dropping in here. Delroy, what is going on? He says, what's up, folks? Dropping in for a bit to wish you all a great day and a great show. Hey, you have a fantastic day and whatever else you're doing. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, Delroy. So thank you so much for dropping in here. So anybody just fell in here. This is not going to be a one-man show today. At least I'm crossing my fingers. Steele is having plumbing issues at his house this morning. So he is trying to fix that problem. And hopefully he will have that done and back here again. So I'm just taking over the behind the scenes before we start the show. So this is going to be a late official start to the show. We do this from time to time when we do have things going on, or, people wake up late like this guy did last weekend. But I'm going to hang out with you guys and we're going to talk some stuffs here. So let's see. King Chili's. Let's get to the chat. If you guys got something you want to hit on, small topics, something cool you're playing right now, let me know in the chat. I don't want to deep dive any topics until Steele gets back, obviously some of the big stuff. But if you guys got some random stuff, hit it up. Let's go. Let's talk about some stuff. King Chili says, yo, I've been playing Palworld faithfully since the last show. Shout out to Pocket Pair Games for coming in and really stirring up the industry. There's a lot of tender people out here in the dev world, in the publishing world. I'm sure some execs behind the scenes are pretty upset at the success of Palworld. There's definitely plenty of praise for it as well. Don't get me wrong, but I love when little indie devs or smaller teams come along. Hell, I love it when AAA does it, but they don't do it very often. I love when somebody comes along and gives the middle finger to the industry and says, you know what? We're going to come in and just take everything that you guys say about this industry and we're going to kind of blow it up a little bit. You can call it a one-off situation with Palworld. You can say this is a flash in the pan. I personally don't think it is. I personally think that Palworld has the legs. If the dev team can do what they say they're going to do with their roadmap, and they can continue to build on what they've already got, and they get the stuff fixed that needs to be fixed, Palworld is going to be around for a very long time. I think it has the potential to be one of those franchises that people just continue to play and talk about years and years. And if they do it right, it has the potential to grow into something that becomes a normal part of gaming conversation, or at least, that you have a bunch of friends who jump into Palworld all the time, even 5 years from now. So I think I love it when they come in and do this. I think the conversations are good that are being had. Even some of the stuff that turned out to be probably not true, like the AI and whether or not, this is a, stealing from Pokemon in certain ways. Those conversations are good to be had because AI for sure is going to be something that we are going to be dealing with. People could scream from the rooftops that they will not play video games that have AI in it. Well, guess what? At some point in the future, that might mean you have to find a new hobby. And again, I'm not for AI taking over the world, Terminator style. I have my concerns about AI, but AI is going to be used in video games. There is zero doubt about that AI is going to be used. To what degree will be probably on a case-by-case basis. But the fact is, we probably at some point will be playing games that are completely created through an AI process, maybe by one person. And if that's not for you, if you're going to put your foot down, if that's the hill that you are going to die on and say, I'm not playing games that are made that way or that have any AI in them, then that's you. I mean, again, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. I'm just going to let you know, get ready, because those conversations need to happen. World of Palworld. Yeah, Palworld, excuse me. World of Palworld. God, that's hard to do, Decado. Yes, it could be the world of Palworld. We could see that for sure. Love what's going on with that game. I haven't been back to it this week because I've been playing Diablo 4 Season 3 and, of course, then Tekken 8. Oh! Is that a steel rain?
Oh, man. Not again. No, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's draining slowly, so I'll address the rest of it later on. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you rocking out with Pong. He's gotten what he's always wanted. He wanted to show by himself.
And you can't steal my line. You can't steal. You're full screen.
He's been automatically.
I'm not. No,
he's been automatically getting himself set up.
Oh, my God. Yeah, Nixie. That's a good way to put it. Bittersweet week in gaming.
Reverse psychology.
Oh, my God. No.
Hold on, let me get my glasses.
Yobi says, when I start back streaming, I will be using an AI service that will make my clips, etc. Yeah, Yobi.
Bro, if you got the
brain, there's a lot of tools.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, no. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. Again, it's not going to be perfect. And again, that's where I fall into the trap, Yobi, to be completely honest. Like let's have a serious moment right here. I fall into the trap because there is some self-integrity that I try to put in there. Like, it's taking away me putting the actual work in and putting the effort in and getting certain clips. And I have been having a hard time just saying, you know what, I'm just going to upload this stuff. I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to do that. You know what I mean? There's also a lot of personal things going on behind the scenes. So it's like things add up on top of each other, right? So it's like timing and then this and then, do I want an AI to clip my videos up? Guys, like, just think about it. If I put an AI through 4 hours, 5 hours worth of our content, how many clips do you think we would have? I would probably have at least 20 clips to upload a day.
Probably, yeah.
And if we did that, if I went back and did all of our content,
yeah,
we would have, I think we have at least a year steady worth of pure, heartfelt content where we've made lots of beautiful points. So I don't know, and I've been thinking about that lately as I've been wanting to grow. Yeah, in our opinion. I mean, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, that's what podcasting is. That's what podcasting. That's what talking. That's what being a. I like what Shannon Sharp said. I'm not a journalist. I'm a conversationalist. Goddamn right. Yes. Yeah, I'm a conversationalist, baby. What are you talking about?
Hey, legendary Yobi, listen up. First of all, Yobi comes in here. Legendary Yobi comes in here. He flies overhead. He said, I'm not done today. And Yobi, real serious, you didn't have to do this to say what you needed to say. This is on me, first of all. But anyways, Yobi comes in. He says, we're not done clearing tracks. No. We're going to get this train. Here's a bag. Here's a whole truckload of coal because we're going to Mach 5.0 early in the Splitters hype train on a Saturday morning. And I got to get ahead of you guys. And I got to drop another 50 megaton because we got to clear some more room for some more track. And we're going to get some more people at them cars. Get ready, because I got a 50 megaton bomb for you. And he says, Pong, Dragonheart is dead. It's only legendary from here on out. Thank you for existing. You and Steel are the dynamic duo who are mega untouchable. And I mean that from the heart. Keep up the great work and just thank you. Nothing more, nothing less. Yobi, that is my bad. And I said this, I think last week, I made a point to say you are now just a legendary Yobi. Human nature, habits, right? Habits. It's hard not to call you that, sir, after all this time. Yeah. But I do apologize because I don't want to call you. I don't want to call you out. I don't want to call you out of your name because you've changed it to Legendary Yobi, and I know the reasons why you have done that, sir. So it is important. So Legendary, I appreciate you so much, brother, and all love and respect back to you, sir, because you are one of a kind in this community for sure.
I do have a quick clear the room. Yeah, real quick, like a quick ISO, real quick. I mean, it could be on a personal level if people want to take it that way. And again, if the shoe fits, I say wear it, right? The one thing that I will say to everybody that's out there, me and Pong, we make content for people to come in and enjoy and have a conversation, right? Because of our experience and the fields that we come from, again, me personally, customer service, sales, business, warehouse, like it's distribution. I've been doing these things for quite some time. And I've also been gaming for much longer than that, right? We go to that all the time. There's a reason why I say be confident or know who you are as a gamer or know who you are as a person first. And nobody here has to play make-believe, pretend like they're neutral. What else is there out there? Or the one thing that I do want people to know is don't be out here fake beefing with people. Don't be playing pretend like you friends. Don't be playing pretend like you trying to be cool for real. Let me tell you one thing. I tell everybody my name on a week-to-week basis, right? It doesn't change, hasn't changed, will never change. You want my information, I tell you it's on Google for a reason. If you got a problem with me, please hit my messages. Please send a party invite. Please don't be on no childish behavior. You got a lot of corny motherfuckers that are out here that like to play make-believe behind the scenes, and I'm not Barbie and Ken. I'm not G.I. Joe. I'm not, I'm not none of these Power Ranger toys that we used to get back in the day. I'm none of that. I'm not a Bionicle. You're not about to bend and mold. Nah, you're not about to do none of that. I've been who I am since the day I've come into the community. Pong has been the same way. The Fun Spec fam has been the same way. And there's been a lot of ups and downs over the years. And again, I'm just keep giving y'all a little peek behind the scene. Again, I don't have a problem with nobody, right? Because if I did, I would address it personally. Like I've always said, and I stand on that. What I don't tolerate is people just being fake behind the scenes. And again, this is always going to exist. It's human nature. People do these things to avoid problems or to make themselves seem a certain way. The only thing that I'm telling y'all is I ain't got nothing here to hide. All my information is what it is. Come holler at me if you want to play games. And yeah, man, that's just what it's about. All the extra stuff that happens behind the scenes, the messy stuff. There's a reason me and Pong don't get involved in that. Me and Pong are not going to be, are not at least, we haven't discussed, and I don't think it's going to change from the last time we discussed about it. We're not going to mold ourselves into, oh, let's crash on Xbox. Oh, let's crash on PlayStation. Oh, let's crash on these certain individual people so that we can build ourselves up. Like, that's just not what we do. Now, are we going to talk about the community? Yes, because we love the community. Are we going to do the same things that everybody else does in the community? No, because everybody has their own things going on. And if you're not talking to us behind the scenes, you're not going to know. And there's also a reality to where not everybody needs to know your damn business. That's just the fact that we all don't have to be the closest MFers alive. We don't. Not everybody's your friend. But we should be able to come to a central place, have a good time, kick it back, relax, chop it up in chat. Y'all feel comfortable. You come in and get good gameplay on a week-to-week basis of guys that are actually playing games and are interested in what is going on in the industry. And the energy that we bring to the table is the energy that we bring every week. This isn't pretend. I don't pop a pill and start getting crazy. No, bro, I've had
workout.
I mean, that's pre-workout. I've had a rough morning already, right? And I'm live right now. You know what I mean? So it's like, I appreciate you guys rocking with us. Everybody that's been riding with us as we've gotten to this growth again, over 1,300 that have been. No, excuse me. I want to get the exact number right. We have exactly. Pull that good old number here. 1,140 people that have been rocking with us, and it's been very special. Been extremely beautiful for me to see, because again, I didn't even think years ago when we started this that there were this many people who would be willing to sit and chop it up with us and talk about the gaming industry the way that we do. So
absolutely. And we can't forget, Steele, we're adding more people. Chat, we're adding more people, keeping this show ad-free in 2024. We're going to keep it asshole-free in 2024. No coffee being sold here in 2024 because Decado said, I see you, Yobi. I see you. You're clearing the way for some more traps with that another Megaton. So we're going to add those cars because I'm buying 10 more tickets. He came onto the court with that easy 10 bomb, the 10 dunk for everybody, showing you how it's all done here on Living Split Screen on a Saturday morning. The Splitters hype train is now at a Mach 4. Actually, no, we're at a Mach 5.5. Your goal remains 69, chat. Don't ever forget it. That number never changes because we always, well, actually, I should say you determined that that's your favorite number. So guess what? We're just going to keep it at 69, but Decado with a 10 bomb, choo-choo, motherfuckers. We got more people at the back of the train now. It's good morning, Steele. But seriously, to your point right here, Steele, absolutely, there is so much BS in this community. It's not even funny. And you guys wouldn't believe, some of you all, again, being in chats, I'm sure some of you catch wind of a lot of stuff. You guys are in people's DMs, but the podcasting community itself too is just on another level of soap opera. It's ridiculous. I ain't got time for it. Okay. I'm 48. I ain't got time for the nonsense. I ain't got time for that energy. There's energy demons out here that just want to feed their own selves with everybody else's energy and with everybody else's, and try to steal it, try to take people down. They, again, as Steele said, fake up front. And then you find out really what's going on behind the scenes. And it's like, I just ain't got time. I'm not jumping into that. I keep myself specifically outside of it because I'm not going to jump into that energy, man. I'm just not. I'm never going to. It is ugly. It is crazy. I can't believe that some of these people are as old as they are out here that do this stuff. Because, man, I don't know. I guess I'm just different because I just don't have. I just don't have the wherewithal to do it on a daily basis like some of these people do. I just don't. I just can't. Too much other stuff going on, real life. And this ain't real life. This ain't real life. This is fun. This is a hobby. This is entertainment. This is passion. But I ain't got time to spread myself that thin at all. So, anyways,
nor do I care.
Nah. Dead or Alive Stream. Who Decado comes in here and says Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball insured the number is 69. That is true, Decado. That is true. You notice how quick I noticed that in the chat? Anytime anybody puts up Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball Steel, I'm going to recognize. Thank you.
Oh, I bet you. I know you are. It's all good.
We need a current gen.
I know you do.
Bro, after seeing that new character in Tekken 8, what's her name? I can't even say her name.
Oh, Reina?
She's from Peru. No, the Peruvian one, the MMA fighter.
I can't remember her name. I don't have everybody's names. I've only been playing. After I beat the story, I played, so is it Kaneka? No, that's Sausage. That's not her name. I've been playing with Lars, so I don't know.
Yeah. But after seeing her, because she comes, if you just play the versus mode, right? If you just play the versus CPU, she comes right away with a bikini outfit We definitely need a DOA.
Oh wow, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I know they got that in there, bro. The customization. Well,
they've had it. The customization is great. It's just like Tekken 7. Tekken 7 had great customization too. It just looked like crap on current gen.
Here,
I know, but it's so crispy here, and we're gonna talk about it. I told the chat we're gonna definitely talk about Tekken 8. So we gotta get the show officially.
Let's get it, man. Let's get it. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, I apologize for starting behind, but you got an extended behind the scenes look at Living Split Screen today. So there's that. But let's get locked and loaded, ladies and gentlemen. I don't remember what is on the intro screen, so that's going to be interesting to see. I'll be able to swap it real quick, but matter of fact, let me test it.
I see you jumping in here. What's going on, brother?
Def, what's going on? Happy B-Day. All right.
I did shout out the chat, by the way, everybody. Why so serious? I see you in here as well. I did shout out the chat earlier when Steel was fixing his stuff. Scorpio, I see you. Rescue Squad, Culp. Borbs is in here. Who else? Refudge is joining us. Refudge. Continue the hustle, man. Continue the hustle. You do your thing, man. You do your thing. So yeah, East Side Vandal. I see you in here. I think I might have shouted you out before. Vandal. Listen, I just wanted to get some shout outs in there because we are starting the show officially late. So again, I don't want to we probably won't go back and re-shout out the chat. Sci-Fi Sky is in here. What's going on? I see you. Let's go. Let's get this started. But appreciate every single one of you for joining me and Steel. Let's get this party started, everybody. Let's go.
3, 2, 1. Let's ride. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and beautiful people, what's happening? Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're tuning in. This is Living Split Screen, a non-console-centric platform talking about everything going on within the gaming industry. This is also the home of where we take that RTS perspective, that's real-time strategy, where we pull ourselves out of the world, look at the darker crevices of the map, pull those resources together so we can build up that foundation for those 3 billion gamers that Phil Spencer always talks about. Not only that, but we also bring that ECP, that's the educated consumer perspective, because we're not working in the gaming industry. We're just two passionate, everyday guys that have been gaming for quite some time and want to bring some of our professional knowledge to the table to maybe make some sense out of this nonsense that happens within this industry. I am one of your hosts, Steel Rain. That's I, Steel Rain I. That's he is a 7 everywhere. Google's the easiest place to type all that information in to get exactly what you need. And I gotta introduce the uncanny gentleman himself. My brother from another. Some will call him the encyclopedia of gaming.
It's been for a while.
I just appreciate him rocking with me and being the co-host with me on this one here show. My guy, Pong. So what's going on, man?
Good morning. If you weren't in the backstage, if you are listening to this in the future on your favorite audio platforms or whatever the case may be, good morning to y'all. Welcome to Living Split Screen on another amazing Saturday, start to the Saturday for sure, with my brother from another, Steel Rain. It's been a crazy week, Steel. It's been a crazy week. We've had a nice big mix, as I was telling the chat earlier when we were waiting for you to fix your plumbing issues, sir. We're gonna get the good, and we're going to get the bad in this industry. It's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows and sunny and 75 like it is in Speculation Town. There are going to be some negatives. So it's been a mix this week, man. Obviously, we weren't expecting some of the news. It was expected at some point, just didn't know it was going to happen this week. So yeah, it's been crazy from that standpoint. But gaming wise, Steele, we are finally getting to that 2-week period that we've been talking about, that we've been hyping up with the release of a lot of games that you and I are excited about. Some people are going to have, one game out of this next couple weeks lineup. Maybe some people are like us and have 4. Maybe you are one of those people that say none of these interest me. That's cool too, because there's still plenty out there to play no matter what. But man, we're going to start talking about new games for a change. Current games, I should say. Yeah. We love talking about all games. You know me, I came in here for the past few weeks talking about Vampire Survivors, talking about Dragon's Dogma, the original Dark Arisen, talking about this older stuff that I was rocking out to. But this is now the time. And man, oh man, this week, obviously, first it started. Diablo 4 season 3 is out. And loving it. Me and Mav jumped in. I know, Steele, you said, nah, I ain't jumping. I got Palworld. I got all this other stuff going on. We got these new games coming out.
There's other things too, man. It's just, again, there's the reality of the things that are going on. Yep. When you do have other games, again, I'm not as negative on Diablo as other people are.
No.
And again, it's unfortunate that people who are loving ARPGs feel like they have to go to other games to get their fix.
Yeah.
Where, and I 100% agree with that. The other thing too, though, but Diablo should not be behind, perspective wise, in comparison to the other games that are releasing. But I think that's the main point of the conversation. That's the crux of it. And we're just short-sightedness, but again, because of its popularity, just kind of how we see with PlayStation, or just other popular IPs.
Are you saying that's the only reason why I'm enjoying it?
No, I'm not. Again, I just said I still enjoy it. That wouldn't make any sense. That would make no sense.
I didn't bring that point up just to have you explain yourself. I just knew that was coming.
I was talking about it as of the overall. I'm not explaining myself. Yeah. I'm just talking about the overall from what I've seen, because at the end of the day, I don't care enough about the negative of it because I'm not playing it right now. Right. I get if Diablo is a game that you're making content about, that's the perspective that I've been seeing. Yeah. If you're making content about Diablo, if Diablo is your mainstay game and you have no other game that you want to play, I get if it's not doing enough for you. Sure. And I also can see that it is failing in places where it should not be in comparison to 2 other games that are much newer than both, especially Last Epoch, which is essentially brand new. And again, they have been building up with the community over the last couple of years. So they have that on their side. Again, it's going to be another Baldur's Gate, I think, Baldur's Gate 3 moment when Last Epoch actually drops, which I do believe is soon, which I think is going to be a lot of fun if we end up jumping in there. But it's just, for me, as somebody who was an extreme Diablo fan, and I still am, and again, I think that Diablo should have been, regardless of how people feel about it, the game released in a complete condition. It was a really good story-based game. If you played it like that, it had a really good run as far as in-game content. Again, we had over almost 200 hours in that first run, preseason, if you want to call it. And if it gets better or worse from there, again, I feel like I got my ducats worth. Or are they going to get my ducats this next time around? We will see. But yeah, the only thing that's keeping me from Diablo is damn, I got to make a choice of games. I got my brother wanting to play Palworld with me now. Now Tekken 8 is out. So, and I did not expect for Tekken 8 to be this good. That's the other thing. I was expecting, I'm over here looking at fight sticks now. Oh man, I'm not comfortable enough using my controller, and I haven't felt this way since Tekken Tag 2. Literally.
It's true.
And I've never felt that way at Soul Calibur. I feel like Soul Calibur just feels so good on the controller. It's just Tekken that's making me feel this way. So it's just, when you're seeing these other IPs kind of grow and mold and become better, and you look at Diablo and you're and then you start seeing layoffs and people getting all these other things that are happening. It's bro, when are things going to get back to where they kind of need to be, or back in line with where we would like to see it? And it's just, I don't know, maybe that's not the reality anymore. But yeah, that's one more song I'm coming from. But
okay.
Conversational piece.
You know what? Steele, nothing you said is wrong, sir. Nothing you said is wrong, because obviously the discourse is out there around Diablo 4.
Yeah, it's
for
bad,
sure.
Apparently,
it's even worse with season 3. And again, people
said it's boring as fuck.
I've said it a million times. I said it a million times. I will say this again. I am self-aware of who I am.
Right.
Very much so. And I understand that I am easily amused when it comes to entertainment. Again, I can sit and watch bad movies for 3 hours and find enjoyment. And when I say bad movies, they're not bad to me, right, but the majority might say that's an awful movie. Why the hell would you ever watch that? Why would you watch that for the 5th time? Why would you go back and watch these cheesy ass 80s movies that were never good even in the 80s? I'm just easily amused. I'm easily entertained. That's why I said I'll never do official reviews on games, because most of my games, 99% of my games that I reviewed, would probably be getting a 7 or above. And a 7 to me is still good. I'm in that era when a 7 was a good game. But it would be very tough for me to criticize things to the degree where I would drop them down, right? Because I just find entertainment, and Diablo's loop never gets stale to me ever. And some people could say, how can that be? It's, again, there's plenty of people out there criticizing season 3, but Mav and I jumped in. I wasn't expecting Mav to jump in, but he did. And we are both fire sorks this time around, as I said in the beginning of the show. And it feels good. I was going to do Rogue because they fixed the Rogue, supposedly the long range Rogue, which I loved. That's what I started season 1 with, or actually season 0, I should say, when it launched. I was a Rogue first, and it was tough sledding as long range Rogue. I got really frustrated at points. Of course, that was before they had fixed a lot of the issues that were kind of cleaned up now, and experience wise and all that kind of stuff. But I guess they've gone back to it and retooled the Rogue with the bow or the crossbow. And supposedly it's a very, very viable character now. I was going to do that, but then I said, you know what? I had so much fun with the Sork, being a Frost Sork last season, season 2. So I went back and I said, fuck, I'm going to be a Fire Sork this time. I want to do fire this time. And so just having a blast, man. Love the new Senshin, which is the little robot looking spider thing that comes with you as your pal. I've seen some people say that they're super weak. I'm not finding that to be the case at all. Again, I'm still on tier 2, haven't moved up to the tiers yet. Level 41 now, I think. Again, they've kept the experience the same. It doesn't have the loot drop like it did in season 2 as of right now. I haven't found the spot. Supposedly there are ways that you can get farming for loot, but last season with the blood harvest, it was raining loot nonstop, like out the gate. It's not so much that this time the loot still drops on a good basis, but just not, we haven't found the spot like that yet. But yeah, having a blast with season 3 and Diablo 4. I will keep going back to Diablo 4. I can't wait for the story expansion. I will be in there day 1 this year when they drop that sucker, because I want to see this story go forward. So I don't really care, about the other stuff. I want to see the story because they've got something special with the story. So yeah, Diablo season 3 off to a good start for me personally. And Mav was having a blast. He even said that he thinks this might be better than season 2 for him. So we'll see how that plays out, because we got a lot coming up, and I don't know how much I'm going to be playing it going forward. But I'm definitely going to be hitting it here and there, on Diablo 4 when I get the chance. And then of course, as Steele just mentioned, as I talked about before, Tekken 8, both Tekken 8 and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth dropped this week. Both of them huge critical successes as far as the Metacritic, OpenCritic, the reviewers go. Both of them sitting at a 90 right now, Steele, on OpenCritic.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Again, the 2024 is starting off just nuclear out the gate, man. Between Palworld, Prince of Persia, Tekken 8, Like a Dragon, like this is unexpected. These are games that people are legitimately saying, all of them, including Palworld,
rated high,
need to be considered for Game of the Year stuff right here. And again, Palworld's still early access, so whatever, preview, whatever you want to call it. But my God, Tekken 8 Steel, I downloaded it. I had played the demo and I had given you guys my thoughts on it. I said, first fighter, I'm going to be day one in from the get-go. And I did go back and I went through the history of fighters trying to figure out what the last one that I remember buying day one. It's asking a lot of me at this point, Steel. My old brain don't always work right. But I went back through and looked at the yearly releases for fighters going all the way back. And I've settled in that Soul Calibur 4 was my last day one. My last day one fighter was that, but Tekken 8 had sold me. And then playing the demo, I was like, yep, there's without question. Downloaded it, had it ready to rock and roll, got home last night and started playing. I played some of the story and played through chapter 5 in the story. I'm to chapter 5, I should say, through chapter 4, to chapter 5 in the story. And I did a bunch of I played some of the arcade, the versus mode.
Arcade quest.
Say this yeah. And then I played the arcade quest, right? Yep. This game is special. Shout out to the entire Tekken team for going back. It's been a long time. Tekken 7 was great from a mechanical standpoint, from the customization standpoint, but it didn't, obviously, they didn't update it to stay up to date current gen, because when you bring it up, the resolution is awful. It's just blurry as all hell. It sucks. It doesn't show off the beauty of Tekken. They went back and said, Steel, we're going to reinvent Tekken for current gen. We are not going to skimp on anything. We are going to have some of the highest production value that we've had in any Tekken game whatsoever. And oh, by the way, we're going to give people some wild, crazy, real good story. We're just going to go way out. We are just going to go all out on the story. We are going to have fun with the story. We're not going to take ourselves seriously with the story, but we're going to give people something massively entertaining when it comes to a story in Tekken 8. And they nailed it, Steel. They nailed every part of this game. Every character that I've played with so far is interesting. Every character feels amazing as far as the fighting goes. Every character looks gorgeous. The attention to detail on the character models and the animation is second to none when it comes to fighting games. First game in a long time that I watched this cutscene, Steel, the cinematics, and then during the story mode, and then when they actually go to the fighting mode,
it looks better.
Actually looks better than the damn cutscenes. Legitimately looks better. And I think they did it on purpose, because the fighting is the main part of Tekken. You're buying a fighting game. I think it was a genius move if they did it that way on purpose, but I think they did. But when you get to the fighting, you're like, wait, that cutscene was looking really good, but oh my God, look at the fighting. Hands down, one of the best fighters I've played in decades. And I love Mortal Kombat 11. Now, granted, I haven't played Street Fighter 6. I probably won't. I've never been the Street Fighter dude. Maybe eventually I'll get it. If it's on a deep sale, maybe I'll get it, because I do like to go back and just play through them anyways, just for the fun of it. Because I play a lot. I play Guilty Gear, I play all these different games. I play Mortal Kombat. I play a lot of different fighting games out there just for the fun of it. Again, I'm the single player fighting dude that shouldn't, you're not supposed to be like that, but I am, so I don't care. But this is one of the best fighting games I played in decades. Hands down, overall package, how it feels when you are. Nope. Okay.
Should be coming up. Should be coming up here shortly. Should be up now.
We are up now. I do see us live, everybody. Sorry about that. We had a blip in the matrix. It does happen from time to time, obviously. So sorry about that. I was talking too long. I was sucking up all the bandwidth and crashed it.
I mean, again,
yeah,
OBS should not be randomly crashing again.
Whatever, man.
Okay.
This is us. This
it's got to add on to the festivities, man. That's all.
Yeah, why not? Saturday morning. Let's
keep ramping it up. Just keep ramping it up. Yep.
Sorry about that, chat. Sorry about that, chat. Technology is great. Listen, but yeah, Tekken 8, one of my favorite fighters in decades. This is the best fighter I've played in decades, just from even, the few hours that I now have in it. I can't praise this game enough. Now I know why people were whispering potential game of the year quality. I understand now why it came out and got a 90. This game's complete package, is absolutely right up my alley. Like, this fits me as the single player. And again, we talked about it previously from playing the demo and stuff. The accessibility features here are top notch. Now I'm playing on medium level. So I know Steele's playing on hard, and beat it on hard, but he'll talk about that side of it. But on medium level, it's the perfect challenge for me as a button masher. As I rise up in the ranks, like in the arcade mode that they have, which is totally cool. For any of you that don't know, they have this arcade mode where you create this little avatar. It looks like my avatar. I actually made myself, which I normally don't do, Steel. But when the avatars look like kids, I'm not making a girl. Like, I'm just not about that. When it comes to, making a female character, a woman character, yeah, I'm all about rocking the female character. But when it comes to kid avatars and that kind of stuff, I ain't doing that. So I made myself. So I look like a kid with a beard.
Okay.
It's a toy. I look like the old dude hanging out with the kids at the arcade. Like, that's what it looks like. It's hilarious. But anyways, you create this little character, this little avatar, and they have this whole backstory. You and your buddies are hanging out at the arcade, and you create, you got this Tekken club, right? And you challenge people, and you rise up in the ranks, just like the old Tekkens do. You got like first dan, second dan, and then you go into fighter, so that's you earn money, which you can buy customization, right? You can buy outfits, you can buy all that kind of stuff
and unlock customization.
And you also unlock them. You unlock customizations for your name bar, for your health bar. Like, they have customizations for everything. Yeah, this was in Tekken 7. I believe it was in. I don't remember Tekken 6, so I don't remember if it was there.
No, it's 7. It was more so a 7 thing.
It started in 7. I love this because you're always getting rewards, right? Again, I'm sorry, I'm easy like that. I love loot boxes. I love things like that. I know you're not supposed to say that out loud, but I get a dopamine hit. I'm not going to lie about it. Again, I'm self-aware. I love that stuff. So I love unlocking things. I love feeling like I'm progressing and doing something at all times in games. You give me that, and you give me a reason to keep playing outside of just the fun factor of a game. Again, I don't need it. Obviously, if a game is great, I'm going to play it no matter what, because I've been playing games for 40 years. We didn't have that stuff back in the day. You played for the love.
Exactly.
But I'm just saying, you add this to it, and you really get me. So you just play through this slow story of you and your friends, and you're trying to work your way up to this World Tekken tournament, right? And you want to become the best Tekken player in the world within this story, right? So you go around and you challenge different kids or avatars, whatever you want to call them, to fights, and you move your way up through the ranks. But you start at your local arcade, and then it lets you travel to different arcades where you meet new characters, and they have their own clubs, right? And some of them are baddies, of course, right? Some of them are not good people, right? And some of them are friendly. And it kind of just works through the story as you level up. Really fun mode, and having a great time with it. Again, as a single player Tekken, I love that fighters have evolved into this Steel, where it's not just, you could just play against the computer all the time. It's just, it's just sparring matches, basically what it is. You can just play them over and over again. They've added all of this. The Mortal Kombats and stuff have all done this, where there is actual value for beyond the main fighting game for me as a single player dude, that I get a lot out of it, man. So I'm just having a blast with the Steel. Again, shout out to the Tekken team. Really great to see them come back and know that they put this much love and passion and care into Tekken. And really, I think for a lot of people from what I'm seeing online, Mav talked about it last night as well. Like, I'm just seeing a lot of people say, damn, I was not expecting all this from Tekken. Holy shit, they knocked it out of the park. Like, Tekken is it never was gone, but let's be real, Tekken wasn't being talked about with the Mortal Kombats and the Street Fighters. Tekken is now back, and I think Tekken is going to actually steal a lot of shine from Mortal Kombat 1 and Street Fighter 6 because Tekken's doing it different. They're doing it their own way, and can't say enough about it. I'm really loving Tekken 8 right now, Steel. So that's what I've been playing this week. Long-winded, but again, told you all, new game talk was coming. Current game talk was coming, and Tekken 8 is the first out the gate for us. So a lot to say, but Steel's got more to say to you. So Steel, hit him.
Well, my week has been definitely filled with Palworld first. Yes. Palworld is definitely going to be a mainstay in the cycle. I mean, my youngest is starting to get into it a bit, and my brother is definitely in it for sure. I'm definitely at a point to where I can't wait for the servers to come to the Xbox, because again, for any of those who are interested, if you want a server to come play Palworld where everything is going to be consistent and enjoy yourself, I think I'm going to definitely start one up for that. But yeah, I mean, other than a lot of the backtracking I'm starting to see from people on Palworld, we're starting to get in more information out there that, hey, you know, these weren't exact copies. There's also people that are trying to apologize because they stretched and made the image or the mesh fit a character so they can make their point and all this other good stuff. And now Palworld has also started the conversation about AI, which has also been a very interesting conversation this week. Because artists are getting very frustrated. I mean, there's one particular YouTuber, Asmon Gold. I'm pretty sure some people are familiar. I mean, again, he has almost 2 million people on YouTube. Nonetheless, he was making a point about AI art that essentially, not saying that people don't care, and I could play the exact quote if need be. Give me a second here. But it's just one of those things where I think AI art is definitely going to be something that is in question, whether to what level that Palworld may or may not have used it to. I think the overall point that people were trying to make is there is definitely inspiration from other Pocket Monster games. If you want to say specifically Pokemon, I can definitely hear you on that. But Palworld has done it in such a way where it doesn't hinge on anything. Again, both Nintendo and Pocket Pair are in the same country. So if there was something that needed to be done, it would have been done, right? Again, like I said previously, the game hadn't been hiding from anybody. So that was the main thing. It's just, for me, it's always ironic to see when people jump down the throat of something, pause, and then have to reel themselves back, especially when they see something be successful. People are very quick to say, oh no, he cheated. Oh no, there's just no way. And like I mentioned on Boom Show this week, Palworld, if people just want to say, it's just these different Lego pieces put together and it's to make one game. How creative is that, honestly? Like we had this discussion with 3-Bit about, at the end of the day, the devs still had to put that together. And for devs that were inexperienced with Unreal Engine, we're working with a budget that was non-existent. Again, Paul made the point last night, made the point on Thursday, that they were just spending money until it was gone, and ended up spending about $7 million to make the game. And now you see them turn around, release something that it was a surprise hit, and have almost made $300 million probably off of that, off of this IP. So much to the point where, again, people were doubting whether Pocket Pair was going to truly support this. They're comparing it to Craft. Oh, look what they did with Craftopia. Oh, look what they did with these other games. And again, gaming industry, you're making games to see if something is going to hit it. Yeah, you're making it for yourself if you're passionate, but you also want to see if you can maybe have something hit. And this dev team, Pocket Pair, really was able to pull themselves together and answer in a niche of people, which I guess you could say is a niche. Pokemon being as big as it is one of the top IPs in gaming, especially, or just I think across entertainment period. But they definitely they struck a nerve. And I think as long as they continue to support it, that nerve is going to continue to get stimulated, and I think we'll be good to go, man. Palworld is an exciting thing to see. The one thing that I will say, just because Palworld succeeded doesn't mean that we need all the Nintendo games all of a sudden. I want certain ones. I don't need Pokemon games coming in. Jasper says skill issue. I don't know. What's a skill issue? Where you have it as a skill issue? Oh, you're talking about what the dude said. Dude tried to clip me. Who was that? Astro or whoever? Tried to clip me talking about me adjusting my settings in Palworld or whatever, and saying that I don't like stamina in games. And then somebody else in the comments was like, "Oh, I would hate to see is how he feels about Souls games." Well, don't you know that's my favorite type of game?
Still, real quick. This is why you tread a very dangerous line when you talk about people you don't know. When you don't know somebody and you try to clip them, I'm just going to say stick to those that you figured out, because you look like a fool. Because that's not the first time. Did it to Mav as well and looked like a fool doing it. Stick to what you're good at. Stick to those people that you know. Don't try to branch out too far until you get to know somebody and what they're about. Because that was my exact thought. Steel was like, you don't know who you're talking about here. You have no idea.
It was just super,
he is
super
as a gamer,
weird.
bro.
It was just super weird. I'm just seeing a lot of other pieces of content that kind of came out this week. I did want to try to get this up real quick, just because I thought it made some good points. But let me get into Tekken as well. So Tekken 8, I have a plan for you guys live on screen. This is some gameplay that I captured last night. And Tekken 8 has definitely hit for me in ways that I was expecting, and in many ways that I was not expecting. Because I didn't watch the first intro cutscene. I watched it the second time that I booted the game up. But what I did do is, as soon as because the first thing I do typically is, of course, you start the story mode up. I mess with the settings. They had a lot of settings in there. They have a lot of options, all the right options, especially on PC, and make sure that everything is going to be running smooth. So everything's looking good. Again, you can't go over 60 frames, although sometimes in cutscenes it does go over. It'll do like 120 sometimes at certain cutscenes. I'm like, and then it'll pull back down, and then sometimes it'll be 30, and then sometimes it'll be 60. And I'm just like, but it wasn't jarring enough to the point where it's just like, hey, this looks weird. So, except for when it went to 30. When it went to 30, like, you could tell. Like, it looked normal, but you could tell that it was like, okay, this is 30. Anyway, from the very moment I saw the inspiration that they were going for, there was a lot of Naruto in this. There was a lot of Bleach in this. There was a lot, they threw some One Piece in there too, for what I know. At least of how they treated the characters, even Dragon Ball. I really felt like Jin was Goku in this story, and fucking Kazuya was Vegeta. That's literally how this entire story made me feel, and that's how the Tekken games. Crazy, that's how the Tekken games have traditionally been. You always had that push and pull. Jin kind of started off on the evil side. Well, Kazuya's always been fucking off the hinges.
Yeah,
but So you always had this kind of push and pull thing.
You had devil energy, you'd be off the hinges.
Yeah, of course. But then you get into this, and just the over the top nature with Jin even just coming in with the bike and just throwing it at Kazuya at the very beginning. And again, I want to give too much away. It is the game just came out. Yeah. But that's the intro, and I'm sure a lot of people saw that because they used that for the trailer. But just seeing that when the game is actually out,
it was amazing, bro.
And then what did it for me is, because I didn't really pay attention to any of the other clips that people made, or I didn't play the demo. I didn't do any of that. So this is me really like experiencing it for the first time. When I saw the cutscene go to the game, and I said, and the game looked better than the actual cutscene did, I was like, am I bugging? Like, am I tripping? I was like, it was like, that doesn't make any sense. So I was like, nah. I was like, nah, maybe that was just a glitch or something. I don't know. So I got to the fight, and the way that they do the fights, it's also so seamless. Beam, no. No, he's not controlled by his devil G. It's so traditional to Tekken, I think, but they just made it more over the top. How could he be Goku? I say it as far as the rivalry that they kind of have, the way that they present the story, him being he is the strongest, right? Of him and Kazuya are supposed to be the strongest out of everybody that's on the Tekken roster, point blank, period. So in comparison, they are the Goku and Vegeta of that universe, right? Because they're inherently the strongest. So that's what I mean, right? Goku is inherently the good guy, quote unquote, for better or for worse. Vegeta was inherently the bad guy, for better or for worse, until I guess depending on how they're gonna do this. So that's kind of where I'm coming from and why I bring that up. And it's just the way that they're telling the story is how that comes across too. Hey, we depend on you, Jin. This is just, it's just seeing them go to that and make it seem more heartfelt. Really made it feel special. But it was also anime-esque in a lot of ways. It was just cool to see that they didn't take themselves overly serious. Oh, we need to make some super conjointed story, and we need to have all these parts. And there still might be some of that, because you have the character stories that you could play after that are supposed to fill in the in-between of what's happening in the story, right? What everybody else has going on while all these other things are happening. So I believe that's how that's supposed to be. I could be wrong on that. At least that's how it came across to me. But just seeing the different things, also they put you in this open field kind of space. I felt like that was kind of weird. Y'all would end up experiencing that when you get to it. They add some things and there's some flavor in there, almost Dynasty Warrior-ish. But you don't get you don't get that level of control though, so you don't get to have real fun with it. It would have been dope.
Steal a Tekken Musu fighter,
bro. That's what they had one back in the day on Tekken 3. Yeah, where you were able to run around and beat up people. You were able to run around in the 3D environment, and you were able to kick, punch, and do stuff.
But they weren't like, but people hate it. It wasn't Musu style, but yes, yeah. No, it was more like an adventure style, right? It was more like an RPG almost. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, for sure. I'm talking straight up Musu.
Yeah, Tekken Musu would probably be dope. Really lean into, especially with this game, how they lean so heavily into, bro. Seeing them make Kazuya, Devil Kazuya, all just off from the very beginning, I was like, oh, okay, this is the way this game is going. So we're just not playing from the very beginning.
No. And they gave him full power from the get-go.
Yeah, that was really dope. I was like, oh, this is what we're fighting against from the very. Okay, I get where we're going. I get where we're going.
Yeah.
So that was really dope to see. Again, I can get some people not liking the story because it did feel disconjointed, and so it does feel disconjointed or rushed in some ways. And again, I do think that that's what the character stories are for. So you get those in between details that you may have missed. So, but other than that, man, apparently there was a update that went out too, because there was an issue with input latency. I never had any of that, but I've been playing offline mostly, or against Ghost, I guess you could say. And that's been a really dope experience, actually. The arcade quest, like Pong was talking to, I think is extremely interesting because it gives you a way to get into like a training mode or like the dojo against the computer, and it's random bots too, and versus you going to a training mode and just trying to hammer out your combos. And of course there's always a point to that, but I think for me is I would rather be active. Like if I was going to warm up, I'd rather just go against like this bot who bases its ghost off of other players, right? And I thought that was really cool. And then also when you get to fight yourself, like you start creating your own ghost, I think that's something that's also going to be quite interesting for me, at least, because that helps you show, hey, what are you weak at? And if you can punish the bot on certain things, like you could end up maybe having a god bot, right? To the point where you have this hyperbolic time chamber kind of thing that you kind of get into because you're always kind of constantly fighting against yourself. And maybe you use that before you go online and start throwing hands with other people. At least you could throw hands against yourself. So that's one half of the battle. I think that's super dope. The one thing that also, the special mechanics that they brought into here, where you can tap LB and it'll bring up like you could tap X, or it'll basically give you shortcuts to do certain moves. I would not suggest for anybody to use it. I think it's going to crutch you. But I'll say that with a caveat. Unless you're going to learn how to toggle it on and off, and again, with it just being on LB, it makes it extremely easy. Now, once you start configuring your buttons, then you're going to lose some of that control. And again, I think you should stop using it at that point. But if you learn how to toggle it on and off and just start adapting to what your character can do, I think that would be a very efficient way to get into it. Like Palm, for an example, if you get to a point with Tekken where you're turning it on and off, like maybe you hit it because tapping X 3 times is going to do a certain move, and then when you tap LB, you know that if you press A, it's automatically going to do the power crush move, so you don't have to think about anything. That could be very viable for people as they improve in their Tekken game. But over time, it is, even against the bot, and again, yes, I beat the story on hard difficulty. I am playing Arcade Quest. I don't know if it has difficulty, but I didn't change it from hard, so I guess I'm still playing on hard. And I've been having a brilliant time with it. All this gameplay that you're seeing is what I went through last night, and I had some challenge there. There was some bots I ran into. Some rounds they just absolutely obliterated me. But for the most part, it felt very balanced. The blocking feels good in here. Pong, to what you were speaking to when you were playing the demo,
yeah,
the game feels beyond impactful. Mm-hmm. Like when you make a hit, you want to follow up with something else, or you either want to follow up or you want to make sure, like maybe you back up and you get ready to see what's going to happen next, because you don't want to take that impact, because it's very visceral. And that's and I think they went leagues above what they had in Tekken 7 as far as presentation goes. The characters, I think, are going to be a little bit more fun to play this time around for sure with the new mechanics. It does, and maybe it's just me, it does feel like it's easier to play overall. And maybe it's just a me thing, but going from Tekken 7, for what I remember, to going into this, for some reason, maybe it's because of Arcade Quest, and I've been paying attention, and they've been helping me walk through and make sure that I understand the premises of the game, and maybe because I looked at my combo list and it was like, oh, I like these 2 combos, so I'll try to remember that if I can while I'm fighting these people. Maybe it's because of the experience thus far why I don't feel like that. I did have some moments during the story where I was just like, all right, Kazuya, if you don't stop hitting me with the same fucking move over and over, bro. There was this one move that Devil Kazuya would do to me. As soon as he got me in the air, he would do this fucking power crush move to the floor, and he would just juggle me for fucking 3 moves in a row. That's it, with the same move. Yep, I was like, yep, this is nice. This is exactly what I remember about fighting games, that like I had to step away. But that's how I knew it was pretty decent, because I had to step away. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna come back to this. But yeah,
how about when you pull off a combo, Steel, and it goes to like a little slowdown? Oh, and your character says something.
Yeah, talk some smack.
The cinematic feel of that is just freaking amazing. In the middle of a fight, it just slows down, and all of a sudden your character pulls off some lines. It's just, oh, and the stage design, Steel. The stage really design is so freaking impressive. I went through, because I was just playing, like I said before, on the just the versus mode, just selecting different characters and just getting a feel for everything. Quidro. Going through those stages, man. The stages are so gorgeous, man. I talked about this last night. There's this one, like this, it's set in this classic like Versailles kind of palace, right? And it's got Mozart music playing in the background while you're fighting, and it's just gorgeous, man. I was the music, the one on the asteroid too, where you're fighting on the asteroid. Oh my god,
yo, man. There's a in the story.
Yes, I know. I figured this. Yeah. Yeah.
It is such a good moment,
I can't wait,
bro.
I can't wait.
Yo, the story, and the story's not long. Like, you can literally get in there in a session and really and truly enjoy it.
Yeah,
man.
if you rip through it. Yeah,
the voice acting is really on point. All the characters feel very organic to the world.
Tell me this is weird though, Steele.
Yeah,
everybody's speaking their native languages and everybody understanding each other.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. I thought, every time that it happened, I thought it was hilarious as fuck. I was like, really? I was like, okay. I was at first, because I was listening to people. I was like, okay, I got a sub. All right, perfect.
Yeah,
I was like, all good. And then people start talking. I get to Leroy, and he starts talking English. I'm like,
yeah. And the dude speaking German.
Yeah,
like but everybody's understanding each other. They're all speaking their native languages like it's normal. I'm like, what do they all got Google Translate in their ear? Okay, all right.
Bet. But don't take yourself overly serious. Hey, it works.
No, it was fantastic.
It works. It represented them all very well. Yeah. All the characters are extremely well designed. This is an Unreal Engine 5 showpiece. Even Digital Foundry did their review on it, and again, take Digital Foundry for what they are, but they are one of the ones that do the deep dives that a lot of other people don't. This game is immaculate on UE5. The way that it feels, the input latency, the graphics, like
the particle effects and everything, still gorgeous, and the special moves. Oh my god, man!
Oh, and this for the people want to know, there is a Digital Foundry did say there is a league of a difference between PC and console for this game, for sure. Which I can believe. I mean, again, from everything that I've seen,
and there's a big difference between the Series X versus PS5 version too. They pointed out. So as far as
was it input latency? Oh, definition.
No, yeah. As far as that goes,
probably lower resolution on PS5.
Maybe. Yeah, lower resolution, definitely noticeable, for sure. So as of right now, again, we've seen this go back and forth between the two consoles, but right now, Series X has definitely got the better resolution for sure.
I think because I think this game was on previous gen too, so it's on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. People were saying that the game looks like Tekken 7.
Oh, I'm sure. I can't imagine how much they had to downgrade it. I can't imagine how much they had to downgrade.
It's an improvement, I guess.
Yeah, but still, yeah. No, it's awesome.
It's cool.
It's a great game. Go back to Palworld. Speaking of which, it just broke another record this morning.
Oh, what did it do? What did it do this time?
2.1. So it hit 2.1 million concurrent. Wow. There's nearly 2 million people playing right now concurrently. I just went back and looked since January 21st, Steele. Its lowest concurrent player count on Steam was like 690 some thousand. That's the lowest since January 21st. It's been.
Damn.
Like, again, people who thought this was going to be a fad, who thought people were going to play it for a few days, maybe a weekend, and then it was going to be over with. To Steele's point that he was talking about when he was talking about Palworld. And again, I did, put more time in last weekend and obviously on Monday before Diablo season 3 dropped. This game's got legs. As somebody who had zero interest in this game, I'm just going to tell you right now, there's more to this game. When you open up flying mounts, when you capture your first flying mount and get the saddle for it, it changes how you play the game because you can go explore and you are rewarded for exploring. This is a sandbox. Not to Bethesda's level, not to Elden Ring level, but it's a sandbox through and through where you are rewarded for going and exploring. And that adds a whole nother level to this game as well, because I went out flying and got a dragon egg to go hatch right out the gate. And I posted it when I got it. And a lot of people have, obviously, a lot of people have been catching massive bosses too. Some of those battles are just incredible. But Steel hadn't even gotten a dragon egg, dragon egg as of yet either. So that's the stuff. You have freedom to go do what you want to do. Like people miss out on that, but that is also a massive part of this on top of the building and everything else going on. And obviously, of course, catching the monsters. There's just so many layers to this game and you get to play it how you want to. This game's going to be around for a long time. I really do think that as long as they treat it well, as long as the devs can get on track, they can get, the Xbox version and the PC version caught up together. They can implement the crossplay. They can fix the stuff that definitely needs fixing. Cause again, it is preview. It's early access to say it isn't a complete game by any stretch of imagination. If they can stay on task And again, Steele kind of talked about how these interviews with this team over at Pocket Pair, shout out to them. Like I said, if you just read the interviews that the devs have given, this game probably shouldn't exist. They really went against everything in game development when they made this game. This game should not exist. So if they can move forward and do all the improvements that they've said they're going to do, and then start adding, this game is going to be something that people play continuously, that go back to continuously. I'm not uninstalling it, even though I got all these great games coming out. I'm not going to uninstall it. I'm going to keep it around. I'm going to go back to it because it's just pure fun at the end of the day. I'm having a great time with Palworld too, but Palworld's still breaking records. So we'll see how far this goes, man.
Well, Pong, I think this would be the perfect time to get into our upcoming game segment. And I only say that because within this next week, Pong, God damn, what an event is going to be happening. We got one part of our upcoming games, and I think we'll probably have to come back to the main show scene for that, is when we get into a little bit about Suicide Squad, right?
Yes.
Because I don't think anybody else is really, and I do want to be somebody that brings attention to Suicide Squad, because Rocksteady are doing things that we would typically ask, like that we have been asking. Hey, why don't you have more of a complete game day one? Hey, why don't you listen to the community? Hey,
you have a roadmap.
Where's the roadmap? And maybe they took that year. Again, there's only so much that you could change the game, but maybe they took that year to make sure that they had a roadmap. And from everything they said about that fucking roadmap, we're going to get a game that probably has at least 300 hours of worth of game time in it at release, which is crazy to see from a game that people are downplaying. Again, I get people wanted more of that Arkham style. Unfortunately, they're not the ones that worked on Gotham Knights. It would have been dope to see them do that. But they are the ones that are making a third-person, action-based, over-the-top looter shooter. Let me add that in there because that's what it is. And it seems to be really fun. And from what I've played of it, it seemed to be that. So we'll get into that as we talk more about our upcoming games. With Pong, are you ready? I was going to bring up the video from Asm, but I didn't have it for whatever bookmark for whatever reason.
That's cool. No problem. Yeah, no, I'm ready to rock and roll. Let's go
from there. But yeah,
let's do it still. Let's do it.
AI art will continue to be a conversation for the future. So
it will. And I talked about that a little bit while you were fixing your plumbing too. I thought it was good that the discussion was happening. And again, that is going to be something that people are going to have to deal with if they're going to stand on that hill. They're going to have to be very careful because the hobby's moving in that direction is probably going to be a part of everything. So, but anyways, let's get into this upcoming week of gaming. That's right, everybody. This is where we bring up Game Informer, which is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Again, we always ask our chat if there is something that they know about that is launching that we don't touch on through this list. Please let us know. But again, shout out to Game Informer for at least giving us a list that we can go by that is fairly decent most weeks. So let's get into this. This is going to be the week of January the 29th. That's right, everybody. The end of January, the first month of 2024. Man, as far as the video game industry goes, what a month to kick off the year, but we are ending it. So let's get going. We got Death Stranding Director's Cut. That's right. Death Stranding is coming to Mac and iOS. That is correct, on January the 30th. Let's go. Okay. Let's go. I do want to get back into Death Stranding at some point. When it was available on PC Game Pass, I did touch it when I first got my PC. Gorgeous game. Yes, walking simulator, but I like weird Kojima style stuff a lot. Right. And it was right up my alley. So I'm going to jump back into it at some point in the future, maybe when I'm like 50 something, and I don't know. We'll see. Rugby 24 for all you rugby fans. That's right. That game keeps coming out every year. It's big over in Europe, not as big as obviously football, but rugby has definitely got its fan base. Got Rugby 24, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. And then we've got Steel, Blaze Blue, Entropy Effect on PC, January 31st. This is the one you were playing, right?
Yes.
Yes.
This is the roguelite Metroidvania from BlazBlue. Or BlazBlue, as I like to call it.
I want you to keep saying Blaz. I don't care. It is Blaze. I want you to just keep saying Blaz. I love it.
Can't help it.
Let's go.
And I'm the guy that likes to say things right too. So Blaze, Blaz, I've called it BlazBlue just because I just wanted to call it since I was younger. Anyway, but yeah, the game, it's a Metroidvania roguelite. It's extremely fun. I haven't been back to it. I do because I was jumping into Dead Cells and some other games, and again with the rotation of games that we're going to end up having here soon. I may not end up getting back to it, but it is something that I would definitely end up recommending to everybody if you're into that. If you like Dead Cells, if you liked Hollow Knight, if you like those style of games, it doesn't have really the adventure more so side to it. It's more of I wouldn't say a runner, but it's clearing the levels. You can get more if you explore. There is stuff to search and stuff like that for sure. Again, it is a roguelite. You unlock more areas and more story and everything else. Again, I was also waiting more so for the full release for the game to come, so it might end up getting put in the rotation. I can easily see somebody putting this as hey, just got home off of work, let me put something on, have a good time, maybe progress into something. This is good for that. And I definitely think they've hopefully this gets enough support. And see that BlazBlue ends up getting a little bit more, maybe more games. I'd like to see some action games from BlazBlue. I think that would be really dope to see. They have some really dope characters against again, Ragnar's top notch for me. And yeah, man. So hopefully it does that for the IP itself. But
yeah, absolutely. Of course. So if you're looking for that type of game, go check out BlazBlue Entropy Effect. Let's go. Then we got Song of Nunu, a League of Legends story. Another side story from the League of Legends. They've been putting out a ton of these. Again, League of Legends, one of those games we don't talk about, but a lot of people continue to play and love the side story stuff. So if you are one of those, that's coming out this week for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, consoles, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One, January the 31st. And then Steel, a game that you and I will definitely be playing and streaming and talking about, and that is Granblue Fantasy Relink. The demo has been out for the PlayStation side, which is awesome. It's been getting rave reviews from people who are playing it over on PlayStation 5. Steel and I have been about this since we saw it. But the Granblue Fantasy Relink coming to PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, PC officially on February the 1st this week. And again, you will be hearing more about that game and our thoughts on it because we are both picking it up day one. And then we've got another anime game coming out, One Punch Man World. That's right. PC, iOS, and Android, February the 1st for all you One Punch Man fans out there. Never got in it, but that really definitely is it. A lot of people love it. And then we got Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash Steel coming out on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC February the 2nd. You are staying away from this one right now, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a fighter, and I love Jujutsu Kaisen, but yeah, there's no other fighting game that I'm going to play other than Tekken. That's Tekken.
Yeah. But a lot of people have been waiting on. Nobody ever thought this one was going to come back again.
And it looks fun. It looks like it's going to be fun.
Yeah. So it's going to be big for a lot of people.
Let us know if we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We crashed out again. We're going crazy out here. They didn't love the passion that we were bringing to the table.
We are back. I see us, Steel. I see us. Sorry about y'all. Again, one of those days. What are we gonna do? We're gonna push on through is what we're gonna do, Steel. Apologize, Chad. Obviously, nobody likes this whenever it happens. So thank you all for sticking out with us. Hopefully, hopefully it smooths out and we don't have any more. Knock on wood. So anyways, where was I? Yes, after Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash, again, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC February the 2nd. We also have Steel Persona 3 Reload coming out. There is going to be a time where I sit down and go through all the Personas back to back to back. There will be a time. Persona 3 Reload looks fantastic. It looks ridiculously good. Persona fans are extremely ecstatic for this. It's going to be Game Pass day and date. So get ready for that in the middle of all these new games coming out. Persona 3 Reload is another one. PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC on February the 2nd. And also, as I stated, Game Pass. So get out there and enjoy some Persona. I know a lot of people will be, despite everything else that's showing up. Persona, God, I can't wait to get into this. It's going to be so good. That comes out February 2nd. And then the one that we will save, because we're going to talk a lot about some of the news this week and as a lead up to launch day. There is early access if you buy the digital deluxe. If you pre-order it, you do get 3 days early access. I think it actually drops late the 29th for console. And Steam is like 2 p.m. I think on the 30th. And that of course is Suicide Squad. Kill the Justice League, coming out to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC. And again, Steele and I will be talking about that game a little bit shortly with some of the more confirmation of what Rocksteady's got going on with this game, and just kind of our personal thoughts yet again on what we're going to be playing next week. And you will be seeing Steele, myself. I know we'll be streaming it. I'm sure here, Steele will be streaming it on Living Split Screen at some point. We will be jumping in. Mav will be in there with us. Jasper will be in there with us. We're going to have a 4-man rotation. However that pans out, whether it's 2 of us, 3 of us, 4 of us, we're going to be playing a lot of Suicide Squad. So if you're on the fence, if you're just curious about the game, you can definitely catch some of that live here on Living Split Screen channel for sure. We're going to have a blast with this game. And yes, I am a Harley main. Nobody else can touch Harley. So that's what's going to be. I don't know if you heard last night, Steele. Jasper goes, well, I assume, or Mav goes, or because he asked Mav, who are you going to be, Mav?
Yeah.
And Mav's like, I'm probably leaning towards Boomerang. And Jasper goes, I knew it. And he goes, I figure Steele's going to be Deadshot. Pong's going to have Harley. So Jasper's like, I guess I'm King Shark. So we've got the 4-man rotation. We got the team laid out. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is officially launching February the 2nd. If you do not pre-order the digital deluxe edition for that early access. So, but that will be February 2nd. And we will have thoughts on that for sure. Vampire the Masquerade Justice coming to PC also on February the 2nd. Vampire the Masquerade has a fan base, believe it or not.
Yeah,
so a lot of people are going to be excited.
Unfortunately, is extremely slept on with it not being in the Xbox ecosystem. I think is unfortunate also because the game desperately needs more players, and the devs have already dropped support of the game. The game just is what it is now, and it's definitely one of the better third-person battle royale shooters that are out there, especially to have vampire powers and whatnot. And hopefully,
Vampire the Masquerade is more of a narrative-driven game.
Hopefully, people continue to support
they have
the
that
other
as well.
Masquerade games. And
Masquerade, and this is the VR one, Steel.
Oh, really?
This was actually it came out for PlayStation VR 2 and Quest back on November 2nd, and they're releasing a regular version for PC on February the 2nd.
Gotcha. Okay, bet.
There we go. Yep. All right, so that is this week of upcoming gaming. Again,
you don't want to tease Foam Stars real quick? No, you don't want to tease it for the next week? It's the game of the year. Foam Stars is going to be better than Palworld.
I better see articles being written. I better see complaining about just ripping off Nintendo for Foam Stars too. I mean, I better see that when it shows up. There's discourse around Palworld. Better see the discourse around Foam Stars. Because you want to talk about ripping off an idea. I mean, again, we could talk about Palworld's character design, of course, and creature design, of course, absolutely, 1000%. But we're talking about basic game design. Square really took from Nintendo. So, anyways, but no, I'm not going to tease Foam Stars. We'll get the Foam Stars next week. The hype's already off the charts for it, Steel. So I don't think we need to poke it.
Bet. I mean, I just wanted to make sure, to get the excitement out there. I know some people are really, really interested in that. It's going to kill Palworld, so it's all good. That's what I'm looking for.
Hey, more power to it. If it does, again, I'm for games coming from everywhere. And if everybody jumps on Foam Stars and loves it, great. I have zero problems with it. Again, I don't have a problem with it at all. It's just funny how some of the conversations go. That's all. selective conversations about certain things.
Why not?
Absolutely back. That's the one thing I was talking about with Tekken 8. Again, I don't, when it comes to little kids, I'll be the dude. Right. But if I have the choice, right, in my games, when it's RPGs, whatever the case may be, I, for a very long time, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, I will make a female character. I would just rather stare at a female character than I would a dude in most games. That's just how it rolls, man. So yes, I will generally be, and I love Harley. Harley's one of the few comic characters that she just makes me laugh, and I just love her. I could fix her in real life if she was real. I could fix her.
Real quick, Ozzy fan says RoboCop came out with NG Plus, just a new difficulty and more boards for guns. I hope Starfield comes out with new combat difficulty. Yeah, Starfield's supposed to be releasing new content this year, man. Starfield,
they're working hard on Starfield.
We'll see.
They're working hard on Starfield.
I definitely want to see. There's even more mods that are coming out. Again, we'll see when the DLC drops, if that happens to be this year, and see if they pull me back in. It's rare, but we'll see if it happens. So Pong, I mean, we were just teasing Suicide Squad here a little bit here. Me and you probably are definitely, I wouldn't say that we're experts, but we definitely probably have more expertise and probably from playing the game than some others may, right?
Sure,
For those who don't know, me and Pong were both welcomed into the early access, or not early access, but the closed beta for Suicide Squad. It was under NDA at the time, and we couldn't talk about it. And there was a lot of heat that Suicide Squad was also getting during the time because of the type of game that it was seemingly inherently becoming. People didn't like it. Crackdown things kind of were going around. I'm also going to play some of the background gameplay in the background. This is going to be from Jor Raptor's page, so definitely shout out to him. Actually, let me copy this link and get him set up just in case. So if you guys want to follow up afterwards, or if he ends up being weird and wants to chase us down, like living split screen didn't quote me. Hey, Jor
we
Raptor,
want to do that right. We want to do that right now.
But yeah, no, I would definitely want to do that. But so Joy Raptor on YouTube, this is going to be his Suicide Squad gameplay, since I can't show mine. I do have gameplay, but it has my name all over it. And Rocksteady has said that any gameplay that we have recorded, we cannot show. So with that being said, Suicide Squad, Pong, seemingly Suicide Squad, with all the negativity and everything that has been placed on it, with it not being the game that everybody wanted it to be. Everybody wanted this game to be Arkham. They wanted it to be Arkham Knight as a true success.
They wanted Rocksteady to make another hero game. Right. Like that. If this was Justice League Kill the Suicide Squad, I don't think there would be as much hate still.
Oh, probably not. And I think that game would be boring too, because
right. Of course it would. I mean, again, that's why they did it this way, right? Yes. But I think that's part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many things that they could do with this too, with that being taken into consideration, along with knowing that they're also trying to do some multiversal things here too, that could reestablish some things that people are worried about. Like, I just saw somebody mentioned in the chat, I believe it was Vandal, because he was giving some hate to the game. And he was like, I want this game to fail so they can work on a Batman Beyond game. And Vandal, because of what they're doing with the multiversal thing, wouldn't it be dope if they bought Batman Beyond in here as an alternative Batman? Yeah. He's more futuristic. He makes more sense as far as like the traversal and stuff goes, because of how aerial he can be. Again, for those who are familiar with Batman Beyond, he was trained by the OG Batman. He was just a new age version of him, right? He was much more aerial, much more versatile. Again, him being a younger kid, he was able to be susceptible to mistakes, but I could see him possibly working with the Suicide Squad to fight against Brainiac or whatever the case, whatever is happening here. I think that would be super dope. Again, they are teasing some stuff because as we saw, Deadshot, apparently one of his skins kind of familiar to, is reminiscent of the one of the Red Hood skins from the Dark Knight, from Arkham Knight, excuse me, where he looks like he has like a Batman. He has like a red Batman fit on. So that's super dope to see. In the cosmetics, just there again, this is another game seemingly to me
where I don't think they took themselves overly serious. They took what they had from Arkham Knight, because again, this is a true successor to Arkham Knight. This happens years down the line, which is also interesting for me, because where did Batman go? And why is he taken over by Brainiac here? Where's the story? Where are they going to cover that in this story? What else are you going to go over here? Wonder Woman's presentation in this game, like what overall impact is she going to have? She gives me some feelings like she's going to end up turning at some point, just because of how she's presented early on. But I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But the way that the game makes me feel, the way the combat makes you feel, it's, again, I said it before and I'll say it here again. It's easy to get into, but it will take some time to master. And there's a lot of versatility here that, unless you have genuine interest in it, in what you experience, especially within that first hour, and I think what they cut out for a slice for us is not what we're going to get day one. It just felt like we were just placed into a part of the story. Maybe we will. I don't know. But if that's the
See it trying to come back.
Let's see if it comes back.
Yes, sir. Looks like we're back.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the one thing that I will say that I think is happening is, because we're using Restream to broadcast to multiple places, that's the only thing that I can figure that is causing us to have some issues right now. So I'm going directly to YouTube now. So that should alleviate some of those issues. I was previously only seeing that is something that I did notice previously, where Restream causes issues with OBS sometimes. And I don't have that when I just do it with straight to YouTube. So it's unfortunate. It is unfortunate, but it's okay because we'll work through it.
Yep. Sorry. Folks.
Again, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Greatly appreciate you guys being here. But let me jump back into with Suicide Squad. So Suicide Squad, just for me, again, just seems to be hitting on all the right notes. Pong, I mean, how are you feeling about it overall while I gather some things together here and also gather my thoughts together here?
Yeah. I've been saying this week on PM and the PM and Xbox Ultimate that there is a slight turn into some of the conversations that are going on about Suicide Squad because of how Rocksteady is handling the period of time up to launch, right?
Right.
They have done a great job. I mean, we talked about this, the whatever you want to say, it wasn't a full year delay. You know, technically it was right around 6 months. They announced it earlier than that, obviously, that they were going to go back to the drawing board after the reception they got.
Right.
But we said from the get-go, when we had those conversations last year, Steel, we were like, but honestly, what are they going to be able to change? They're not going to change the core fundamental gameplay in that time, right? They can't. The game is going to be what it's going to be. But I got to give my hats off and flowers to Rocksteady for, I think what they did, Steel, was go back to the drawing board. Now, they did, first of all, they did make some changes, right? They got rid of the gear score, that kind of stuff. They definitely reworked the monetization from what we early saw on how they were going to monetize this game. They, I believe, probably went back and looked at what Halo Infinite did with the battle passes being infinitely available to you. If you buy a battle pass, it never goes away. You can go back to older battle passes and complete them on your own time frame, so you get them forever. I think they did some of that stuff, but I really think they went back to the marketing department and said, okay, we've got to get this game in a better light. How are we going to do this? And the game plan that they've had with the open betas, with the giving early access to big time streamers out there in the community that wanted to jump into this game, giving them early access to the game, allowing them to stream that stuff live, talk about what they were finding out without pretty much any shackles that I could see, because we were getting information, starting about 3 weeks ago, a month ago, hints about what was coming. They really didn't stop any of that from happening. They said, go for it. And opening up the NDA once they allowed us to play the invitation beta, right?
Right.
And then they gave the media sites the rights to come out and say stuff. And the media sites came out with all this negative press. And Rocksteady going, okay, this is how we're going to do it. Okay, fine. F you guys. Let's let the gamers actually talk about what they experienced. Those of us like you and me, Steel, that actually had, and again, they allowed everybody to talk about it. So some people still came out and said, no, I don't like this game. This is not for me. But then there was plenty of more voices like you and I that came out and said, no, we really enjoyed what we played. They got something here. Like, this is good. And I think that with all of that, and now them withholding the review codes and not allowing the media to jump into this game early for reviews and saying, no, we're going to let everybody talk about this game at the same time. I love it. I love what they've done. And I've seen the slight shift here, Steel, because now we know, and we're going to get into some of the details about some of the stuff that is confirmed here. Rocksteady obviously knew what they were doing. Rocksteady, as much as people want to say this is not the game I wanted Rocksteady to make, I understand that completely. Maybe this wasn't even the game that Rocksteady, if some of the smoke is real, originally had planned to make. Maybe this game was pushed onto them. Maybe Suicide Squad as a whole, the IP was pushed onto Rocksteady. What I've said from the beginning is that Rocksteady, what I saw, was not going to just go, oh, well, this isn't necessarily what we wanted to do, so we're just gonna throw something out there.
Right.
Rocksteady put their heart and passion into this, right? They went, at least to me, from what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, everything I played, Rocksteady said, no, we still have a standard to uphold here at Rocksteady. We've created this name. Now they've lost their founders. Their founders have gone on, we know, to create a new studio. But they said, if this is going to be our last go as a studio, as it was, then we are going to put everything into this game. And we're not going to let the Rocksteady name be tarnished.
Right.
Due to something that we did internally as far as the game development goes. This game feels polished. Rocksteady appears to have had a better roadmap than a majority of games as a service type games nowadays. And they are giving it all to us. And they have made the changes necessary to make it appealing in every way possible. So that, like I said, I think there's some of those people on the fence that were on the fence that maybe even were buying into a little bit of the hate train out there saying, nah, I'm not going to do it. I've seen more people come back around on Steel and say, ooh, wait, hold on, time out. Everything they're talking about, everything I'm seeing, maybe I need to give this game a go. And I think that we are potentially on a redemption arc. And normally redemption arcs don't happen until something is already released or an event has happened. And, we've seen this with CDPR multiple times now with Witcher 3 and obviously Cyberpunk. Normally redemption arcs don't happen until after things have already occurred that make it a redemption arc. But I think this is kind of a redemption arc prior to launch. And I think that this game, while it might not come out the gates exactly how WB and Rocksteady had originally envisioned, I think as this year goes on, Steel, and if everything, again, we haven't played the full game, we don't know. But let's just say the experience is what Steel and I think it's going to be. And this turns into a fantastic looter shooter set in a freaking gorgeous setting with high polish, consumer friendly battle passes, and all the characters that they start dropping in. And we know the first one's going to be Joker hit. I think that as the year goes on, more and more people check out Suicide Squad and more people fall in love with Suicide Squad. And again, we'll get to some of the details. I'm just talking overall here. I just really think that they are doing the right thing with this game. And I think that the 6 months that they took, or whatever you want to say, nearly a year that they took, really was beneficial at the end of the day. And I think that they figured out how to present this game in its best light leading up to launch. And I definitely think they're going to get a win out of this, Steel. WB's on a high. we'll kind of end this conversation too, Steele. We got some news from WB this week because investor calls are starting to go out. WB had their investor call. So we're going to talk about a little bit about WB too. And I think we'll end it that way. But I think WB should have another good game here on their hands. And I think they're going to have some success here. It might not be what they originally envisioned. I think overall they're going to find some another good quality, successful title out of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League with this one. So, yeah. That's my overall
I see Vandal is just like, he's crying from the rooftops. Like, man, this is not traditional. This is not what I wanted from this game. It's not like the comics. And look, Vandal, I get it.
Okay.
And look, man, if the game's not for you, it's unfortunate. And and I bet us singing its praises and how much we're enjoying it, how much we like the characters again. But the reality of it is, for me at least, from what I have witnessed, Suicide Squad didn't become what they wanted it to become in the movies. I have never been aware of the Suicide Squad really before that, outside of Justice League and other older shows, cartoons and stuff from back in the day. I mean, even then there was just kind of whatever characters compared to the main standouts, right? For me, this game has made this list of characters more interesting than I think any other form of entertainment has. And I think that that's important if you care about these characters at all. Are they perfect? No. Iron Man is not the way he was portrayed in the comics in the MCU. He's not. And debatably, some people could say, well, he could have died much earlier. He could have died when he fought this person. Oh, this could have happened. Everybody has these different versions of different stories that they want to come to the forefront. And I get that anybody you could have wanted it a certain way. I also, again, get that people maybe wanted a more Arkham Knight traditional Batman game, but it's not what you have here. You have a looter shooter, hero-based shooter, which I think is really hero-based third-person action shooter that I think is pretty fun to play. And again, for those who are interested, guess I'll see you in the field. I'll see you in Metropolis, throwing hands with Brainiac, So that's the way we do things. And again, definitely expect for us to be, me and Paul, to get some streaming in on that. Anybody else is willing to jump in, it is full cross-play. Again, you just can't deny all the other things that Rocksteady is doing for this. With everybody having such a down interpretation of the game, well, seemingly, and for them to put much of their heart and effort and detail, and from what we've seen, I just feel like you got to support. So, Yobi says, live in split screen comic book version of Tony Stark takes a shit on the MCU variant. I'm just saying. I was, and I was frustrated about that. Look at the ad. I was frustrated about some of the things that happened in there, but like, is it really that serious? I mean, no. They made Iron Man become more relevant than he was ever before. Literally, Robert Downey Jr. made Iron Man relevant. And I'm not like, and he was, I mean, of course, he was a character and he was important before, but he was, I don't think he was anywhere close to what he was after Robert Downey played that role and made him who he was. Again, I still think it's one of the best interpretations of Iron Man that I've seen. So, but yeah, so shout out to Suicide Squad for everybody that is interested in that. If you're not, again, I hear you. We'll continue to listen to the conversation on that, and we'll go from there. They didn't explore his brothers. They didn't explore nothing with his father, why he has the smarts that he has. He didn't have nothing, but he's supposed to have some ties with Kang. There's just a bunch of different stuff that he has that Iron Man had going on behind the scenes that him dying to Thanos just didn't make. I mean, again, for the circumstance, no, we can't technically throw hands with Thanos, but again, I guess it depends on what version of the story that you want to take and certain parts and whatnot. Again, Iron Man's got his hand thrown at him for real. Dakota says RDJ made Tony Stark relevant, so by default Iron Man became relevant. That's what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. Review lifts win. I would imagine that the review would have to lift on the 30th. The reviewers have to lift when early access is going live. Let me see if they got a date on that for sure. Justice. Well, no. Suicide Squad. Could be Justice League. Embargo. Let's see what people are saying. I think some people are saying they might wait till Friday. If you leave it up to me because it's going into early access, I don't see anything that's confirming it. But a lot of people, it seem like they're hinting at it. It's probably going to be the 30th. Probably be no. I mean, Nixie, they've made the point that they're not going to send games out or send codes out until the day of, because it's already been reviewed previously by other game sites. They've already put the spin on that. And again, for anybody else that's seen what IGN and other places have seen, they're not the highest on the game, right? They're actually a lot of feeling negative. Raymond says, did anyone get reviews code though? I saw Grub saying he doesn't know anyone with a code. No, nobody got review codes. But in Raymond, I've played the game in closed beta. You know what I'm saying? And if the game has only gotten better since then, which I know that it has, being in the Discord with them and whatnot, and speaking and have chopped it up with a little bit with the devs behind the scenes. Again, you can take my word for it or you cannot. It's completely up to you. But I think because of the negative press, they're gonna release it day one. The game plays flawlessly, to me. Combat is flawless. There's no issues. The gameplay is there. So I mean, again, people find out day one whether it's for them or not. I mean, and again, if it's crazy or whatever that they're waiting until day one to send codes out, then it could be crazy. But let's listen to what everybody else is going to say when the game actually comes out. I think that's kind of the perspective, because they already have others. Again, they already have other sites that have kind of put the way they feel about Suicide Squad out there.
Yeah, the attitude towards Suicide Squad has already been out there with the previews and everything else. And I think that's why Rocksteady just said, screw it. We're going to do what's the point of allowing the reviewers a chance to just write another potentially negative article if their view is already that this isn't the game that they wanted? Because again, we talked about this, Steel. It's not nothing is absolute. There was positive stuff being said by some of the mainstream journalists out there, but a lot of it was, again, we talked about this, the previews, a lot of the previews were written from the standpoint of the same thing that a lot of people were doing when they saw the game. This isn't the game I wanted. They weren't giving their opinion on the game that it was. They were giving their opinion on the game it wasn't. And that, I think Rocksteady just looked at that and said, why do that again? Why have another round of potentially mainstream journalists reinforcing that idea again, instead of let them start reviewing the game at the same time the gamers start playing, the same time that the gamers start streaming, the same time that the gamers start posting on X about what they're playing, what they're feeling, so that you have a much broader sense of what Suicide Squad is potentially from a wider range of voices than just the mainstream media putting their reviews out. Why not do it that? What do they got to lose at this point? Nothing, Steel. They've got nothing to lose at this point.
And Jasper brought up a good point too. He was saying, he said, I saw some say that they had early copy, but the servers are not up yet. So even people that have it can't start reviewing. And I did see that because the servers don't go up for Suicide Squad until the 30th. So, I mean, maybe that's also a part of that.
Yeah.
I mean, again, there's just multiple levels to it.
Controlling it.
Smitty says, if Pong is still vouch for it, then damn it, I'm in.
Listen,
again, you still have to decide whether it is something for you. Weapon X says, I just want great end game, if it even has one. Weapon X.
Whoa. We're about to talk about that Weapon X.
Well, okay. I mean, I thought we were winding down off of Suicide Squad, but Weapon X, guess what I can do? Guess what we can do for you. Weapon X, let me tell you about the.
This is why I said Rocksteady obviously had a plan for this game, Steel. They obviously weren't just throwing this together.
They didn't throw shit on a wall. No.
They did what we have said should be so common, or should be so obvious to all publishers and devs these days. Games as a service, these style of games are not new. They're not reinventing the wheel. You have the opportunity to look at all the other examples of these types of games and see what people didn't do right and what people did do right. And you should be able to design a game like this with already having knowledge about what works and what doesn't work. There should be no more excuses these days when games as a service come out and they are less than. There should not be if you have this type of budget and you have this type of studio. Rocksteady obviously did it here because go ahead, Steele. Lay them down.
If there's more that I end up forgetting, Paul, just let me know. Yeah. But I'm going to go down kind of like the images that they put out there because I thought those key images were kind of dope. But this first one says, the Battle Pass and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League will be cosmetics only, which is dope. No XP, no nothing. Have both a premium and a free track, and a new Battle Pass will be released with each season. You will be able to go back and play previous Battle Passes after a season ends. We want those to be able to be available for our players to enjoy without fear that they'll be missing out on anything. During the development, we've done pretty extensive user testing on the game and added many of our UI customization options, which is actually one of the biggest things that people try to complain about, as direct results of player feedback. Beyond launch, we are planning on adding even more support. And then they go into the next one. For launch, you can control the visibility of these things. Got the HUD, minimap, aiming reticle, large persistent center die, enemy health bars, enemy health bar prompts, damage multiplier, player markers, player names, incoming damage indicators, dynamic tutorials, combat flare challenges, full screen effects. You can essentially go no HUD on this, damn near, which is damn cool. Once you get used to the game, you know what you're doing, you're familiar, you can start taking some of the HUD off and you get more of the game on display for you, and you get to put yourself in those key moments. Also, all the content and missions we have in the game can be played solo or in any group configuration, 2-player up to 4-player, including endgame. You can replay the whole story or just jump back and replay your favorite mission. Maybe you want to replay the story as Joker, or maybe you want to fight the Flash over and over as different squad members. These options are all available to you. They did put out some additional things here. Let me see if I can find that real quick, because they gave more of a complete rundown of what's to come in Endgame. And actually, I don't even think it was them that brought it from Endgame. Yeah, it was the June. Actually, let me get
yeah, the June. Yeah. I got some of it right here too. So
if you got some of it, go ahead. Yeah. What else they bringing in here? I just wanted to bring it up real quick for the people.
Yeah. So season 1, episode 1 endgame missions are stacked. Each season has 2 episodes, 6 incursion missions, 6 stronghold missions, new killing time, which is a horde mode, themes and encounters, 1 mayhem mission, which is a big boss fight. And it should be Superman or Green Lantern in season 1. Then you've also got Suicide Squad has new game plus already. You unlock Metropolis invasion levels after completing the campaign. You unlock 5 additional difficulty levels over and above hard. Invasion levels not only increase the difficulty of the game, but also the rewards on whatever parts of the story you are playing, unique legendary items and master versions of familiar items when you play on these higher invasion levels. Think of Division 2, where you can up the difficulty of the open world for better drops, or Diablo 4 does the same thing as you move up in the tiers. That is also a part of it. Let me see here if I've got anything else. I know he had a breakdown that I had posted weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago, I think, about some of the stuff. They're going to have both a premium and a free battle pass, obviously. We know that one for sure. Joker is the first playable character that they're going to add. But they've already got the 4 seasons set up. The first 4 seasons. So there's going to be a season every 3 months, supposedly, is what they're planning on doing. We know that season 1 has the Bane gear set. Here's another one. Suicide Squad. This is from Lejeune again, LAAJUNE_ on X, formerly known as Twitter. This is the one post he made last week. I think it was January 19th. Or no, this was this week. No, last week. Yeah. So season 1 is the Bane gear set. This set has 3 tiers, each one having different perks. And after season 1, you can still earn the Bane set, which we know about because again, you can earn the battle passes anytime. New seasons will introduce new incursions, other missions, which we just talked about. We talked about the big boss battle. Big bass. Wow, we're gonna do fishing. Incursion missions require currency, Prometheum coins, to activate it, which can be earned in the open world missions and defeating enemies.
Okay.
We've also got villain synergy weapon, which activates from having notorious and infamous weapons equipped to get a bigger bonus. They've hinted at the PvP already. There is a PvP mode coming at some point. Yes, sir. Yeah, bro. They're calling it, he describes it, and some people said, well, don't take this the wrong way. And again, I didn't play enough Destiny 2, but Destiny 2 Gambit is the way he describes it.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
Yeah, so some people, but some people said it's not right. So
people are stupid, but what makes Gambit bad is the people.
right. But that is supposedly coming as well.
That'd be cool.
Neck bomb and charm revealed. Those are the 2 last unlocks in the gear sections. Clans confirmed, so you will be able to form clans. Paragon system is also been revealed. Unlimited Paragon system. So think about the Paragon board in Diablo 4, where after you hit max level, then you go into Paragon. Oh, you can just keep going.
Replayability.
You can just OP, just keep getting more and more powerful. Modifiers activate in higher incursion tiers. Tiers go above level 50. This is about as complete end game as you can have.
At least day one.
From day one. Correct. So yes, to that question, it sounds like Rocksteady has done it. I mean, again, we'll see how it all plays out. We'll see if it has that addictive loop like a Division 2, like a Diablo. But
I felt it when I was playing. But.
Yeah, so did I. And I didn't even get into the whole loot system still. We barely got to touch the loot system, right? Barely got to touch. And again, for me, that's going to be that loop. Like, I'm all about it. Like, the game is already fun. You got me there, but you add this in with this Paragon, with the loot system. They showed off some of it. We got to see some people some of the streamers did post some of the infamous weapons still. They look like their design looks fantastic, man. Like they went all out in this stuff. Like when you get one of those weapons, you feel like you're getting something special. So yeah, to answer everybody's question, there is endgame here. From the sounds of it. Now, again, how it plays, we'll find out. You'll be able to find out from me and Steel. You know, Steel and I are going to give you the real deal. And Steel, especially, because Steel's, I'm a looter shooter guy, but I've always been the single player looter shooter guy. Obviously, I do a lot more co-op now because obviously I got friends now, that Steel being one of them, that actually play these games. But Steel more than anybody will come out and tell you how the end game is, because again, Tiny Tina's. Yeah. We played through that, had a rip roaring time, but still got to the end game and was like, So Steel will be back here. I will be back here. We'll be talking about this for the weeks and months to come. Who knows? This could be the new division where we are, like Steel said, putting in hundreds of hours into Suicide Squad just because it is so good and so much fun. So we will see. But I'm looking forward to it, Steel. Definitely.
Decado says Endgame isn't really a looter shooter. It feels more like an MMO raid loot reward system. Yeah, I mean, sure. There's probably some inspiration from that. I can see that.
It's on the same as Diablo.
Because they did pull back from the looter element from it a little bit. Because I don't believe that you have like because
score.
You have tiered gear still.
You have tiered gear, just no gear score. Well, but that's cool because you can upgrade. You find a weapon that you like now.
You can upgrade it.
It's going to be viable. You can upgrade it so that it keeps running. Yes,
it makes even more weapons possible. There may be a gun you find early on. You like the way that it shoots. You say, I want to rock with this. Of course, it's going to probably maybe much stronger guns later on. Of course, after you get to the end game content, you bump up the difficulty. Just like Diablo, I think that's what excites me the most about it, because to play something like this is more third person, is action adventures kind of style where we're in it, we're swinging through the city. It's like it's giving you a reason to kind of build upon that stuff, along with that Paragon type system where you get to build up your character even more. It's an additional add-on.
Yeah.
Remake Station brings up Helldivers saying he's saying Helldivers looks okay. I prefer the look and powers of Outriders though. I didn't watch the most recent gameplay trailer for Outriders. It look good? Yeah. I need to watch. I mean, I'm already invested.
You gotta look. Yeah. We're already invested. It looks fantastic, Steel. It looks like a game that we're just gonna have a rip roaring time. It doesn't. It's like Starship Troopers, right? I mean, that's what it is. The cinematics are like Starship. Like it's like Starship Troopers. We're gonna have a blast with it. Like, is this gonna be a game that takes over our lives? Probably not. But is it gonna be a game that we definitely go back to? That co-op is so much fun. You know, the way that they're setting it up, Steel, it looks like they're gonna be able to expand out with different levels and stuff, where you go, where you travel to, but the special powers that you get, the things that you can call into the battlefield look incredible. The cinematics look cool as hell. Yeah, it looks great. Helldivers is going to be a great game that we're going to jump into. Could it be broken? Of course it could. We haven't played it. But I think it's going to be fun. I have trust in that studio. Again, I played the original Helldivers, so I already understand the atmosphere that world brings. And I loved it back then when it was a top-down twin stick, right? The fact that they're doing this third-person over-the-shoulder, shooter, co-op shooter, I'm all for this. Like, again, I think it looks great to me. Again, it's not going to be anything that sets necessarily the world on fire. It's not going to be anything that raises bars in other places. For me, it looks like it's going to be pure fun, which is all I look for in my video games, and that's what I'm looking forward to. So yeah,
for sure.
But you'll be hearing about that here too.
Yeah, that is very true. Yobi, I saw your question earlier, but I appreciate you writing in there again. He says, Steel Pong, what villain would you love to see a focus on for a game from Marvel, DC, and Disney? Me personally, a Doctor Doom M-rated game or a Darth Vader game. What do you think, Paul? DC, Marvel, or Disney, a villain.
I mean, obviously, give me Darth. I mean, I will take Sith all day long. Give me Sith games. I want dark side games. I don't know why they shy away from doing it, but yeah, I'd love to see dark side games. For sure. As far as Marvel goes, again, you guys know my love of X-Men, so I can't wait for the X-Men game. I just hope they do it right. But again, what I saw from Jean Grey, I'm a little concerned, to say the least, a little disappointed. But I would love to see something, I guess, off the wall. I said it last night. I mean, I'd love to see Spawn. I know that wasn't part of the group, but I'd love to see Spawn game.
Villain, no,
he's not a villain, but villain wise,
I would say Magneto.
Magneto would be cool.
I think being able to traverse, kind of like Control, right, from what I've seen, but being able to manipulate the environment even more than that, to where like you can form it and then send it at somebody. Like, I think that would be really dope, be able to walk around that way. As far as Marvel goes, because I mean, again, you ask me, I'm automatically going to go Venom every time, and we're probably going to get a Venom game. So there's that. And Venom's already in Spider-Man 2, so there's that. That wasn't enough for me to jump in. Although I am going to be there when it comes to PC. DC wise, I'm not really familiar with too many of the DC villains. I'm just trying to go more so off the top of my head. Again, just because of Suicide Squad and because of previous things too. Brainiac is the only one that ever comes to mind because he's always the one that they go to, I feel like. At least from what I remember, and I don't know anybody else like that. Other than if we go like Teen Titans, then it's going to be Deathstroke. I think a game best on Deathstroke would be cool because it'd be more like Splinter Cell, but more over the top, like Batman, where you have that versatility, but it's more focused on stealth. Okay. I think that would be really cool. And you're hunting down different heroes. Like, I mean, I think that would be cool thing to add. I think they're supposed to be adding him to Suicide Squad also. Disney, a Disney villain. Yeah. A Disney villain. I don't. To be honest, I'm probably just going to go back to because Disney actually also expands further out, so you could definitely go Star Wars.
Oh, of course.
There's some other IPs that go in there too. But I think the main thing that I go back to is from my childhood is the Toy Story game. Sure. And that's Zurg. We need a Zerg game. I think that would be really cool. Come in and fight Buzz Lightyear, fight all the other toys and stuff like. I don't know. That's the one thing that I go to.
A Jafar game would be cool.
Meant to say Star Wars.
No,
Star Wars Star Wars not Disney. What Star Wars villain?
Yeah, Star Wars villain.
Okay.
Star Wars villain. Well, I mean,
I want to see them bring Star Killer in and see what they would do with that. To see how they really address it. But he wasn't, but because of what Darth Vader did with them, he did make a second iteration where he ended up fighting himself. So I think that would be, I mean, again, we need to see what
I mean, we already know there was a canceled Darth Maul game at one point. Darth Maul would have been cool. Darth Maul would have been cool. I like Maul. I'm not over the top with him as far as up there. I mean, he's cool as hell, and obviously I loved him in the movies. I just never fell.
That is a good point, though. I think a Vader focused game probably would be the most ideal, just because there's so much that you can get into as far as mental, physically. He's just got the biggest presence, leadership.
His presence alone.
That too, yeah. When you step into a place, you know that's Vader, like,
right.
You know what I mean? It just has aesthetic, but it's also like a power thing too. I think the Vader game would probably be the easiest way to go.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's most recognizable too.
As many times as you put him in, like you're going against him, why not you be Vader this time?
I mean, if they were, I know everybody loves
I don't want to be Palpatine. That sounds.
I know everybody loves Mandalorian, but obviously, if they were going to go lean, I don't like the Boba Fett. Boba Fett, but you got it.
Not Mando. Don't make. I mean, a Mando game would be cool, but because of what we grew up, like me, Paul,
I want a real bounty hunter game. I want a real bounty hunter game with all the darkness, with all the seediness, where you are actually.
Boba was not what he was in this show, and again, you could say growth and maturity. That was not his character. I mean, some of it, sure, but he was definitely more like on the Deadpool side of things, where he did things that benefited him. But he was a lot more about that action than the show made him seem like.
Yes, of course. And Star Wars in general, again, if you the stuff that was touched on in the originals, again, Han Solo was not a good guy. But that's what bro. He was a smuggler of all things, including other beings. Okay. Mm-hmm. Like drugs, but that's what made his arc great, right? That's what made his character arc great, was because he was not the kid that they tried to portray in Solo, the movie. Like that's not Han to me anyways. So if they did ever lean into that and just say Star Wars can be adult and we can touch on adult themes, then I'd love to see a Boba Fett movie for sure. I would definitely.
You'd be able to go super bounty hunter with that too.
You could. You
maybe
really
you run into Mando, and that's like maybe you have a spinoff because of that, or DLC, or maybe and that's how they. And you even make Mando a little bit more, because again, Mandalorians traditionally are also. I mean, he has some action moments and whatnot, but they were a lot more gruesome than how they portray them. I would say.
East Side. You're going. East Side is on the rip, man. He's as fuck. So I'm a Jean Grey looter shooter. He is. I know, but he's obviously has strong feelings about Suicide Squad, and I appreciate that. He says, "Bonk, so how about a Jean Grey looter shooter where they just turn her hands into pistols and her mental powers that shoot telepathic bullets only? Sounds fun, huh? Let's go. I'll take a Jean Grey video game any way I can get it. Let's go. As long as she looks good, we're good. Let's go."
There you go. You gotta get that down first. But yeah. So shout out to that, and also shout out to Helldivers. That's going to be another one on our list. So that's gonna be super dope. Appreciate that question, yo. That was actually really good. Trying to think about the different one. Smitty says he wants a Jar Jar Binks game. Look, Smitty, I like Jar Jar. Again, it's a generational thing. I know it is. That is, again, regardless of how, because I do love the original Star Wars trilogy too. 4, 5, and 6. I do, and I do. They will forever be OGs to me. But I do genuinely love 1, 2, and 3. Because they made me care about other characters also. General Grievous. He's one of the fucking dopest characters that we've had. He was such an impactful thing for me when I was younger, dog. I was like, yo, that dude, it's fucking the way he was breathing and everything. Of course, you can see it as a weak, but that's what made him dope. Because Vader has the same thing. He has a weakness too, but he's fucking over the top. That was just really cool, dope to see. Darth Maul came out of that. The whole beginning of Anakin and what started everything was super dope to see, where Darth Vader kind of came into it. And I think that's the one thing that Disney has gotten wrong with 7, 8, and 9. Or 7 and 8 for sure. They haven't found a way to touch that for a new generation, right? They moved it forward with me. No, it wasn't perfect, but I think to Paul's point, there was something missing even within that, especially towards the end. Especially in episode 3, where it was just like, I wanted a little bit more grit than was there. Of course, I mean, again, we got the great scenes with Anakin going into the room and slaying kids and whatnot. But, so we got a little bit of it, but they could have definitely jumped into it much more. And they haven't really grown it, but yeah, it is what it is.
You're about to get Pong on a Star Wars rant, which I haven't done in a long ass time, bro. 1, 2, and 3 were good for what they were. Lucas, I thought, lost. Again, this is what happens. And it's not necessarily even Lucas's fault. Like, if you wait that long to go back to something, sometimes you lose the magic. We've seen it.
Yeah.
We've seen it happen in other franchises as well. Not to say that it's happened. Even the Aliens franchise, same thing. If you wait too long, sometimes it's really hard to capture what you had, because you were Lucas, especially because Lucas was the main brains. There was other people obviously around him that obviously helped him. Obviously, we know this, but I'm saying Lucas was the main brains. But what he captured in the 70s and 80s was something different. But he was a different person than he was when he went back to it again. And so you lose some of that when you wait that long. 1, 2, and 3 are good for what they are. And actually 3, Revenge of the Sith, I actually have higher up on my list than a lot of people do. I actually enjoyed Revenge of the Sith. I thought that Lucas kind of captured a little bit of the magic again and actually dove into some of the darkness, like you said, of how Anakin turned, or what started it. Now,
I still don't like the fucking way it was so stupid. Like, really, out of all things, this was the thing to push you over, dog. Like,
well, right. No,
I got it.
Some of it was cheesy.
Come on,
some of it was cheesy.
Out of all the things you could have went dark for, this.
But the fight scene between him and Obi had emotion.
That was super dope. Yeah,
it had emotion. It had all the perfect kind of setting tone.
Yeah,
for that transition of their relationship into what it came as Anakin was turning. Like that all is all there. I liked Revenge of the Sith more than some people did. So I don't have a problem with 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. Listen, they're abominations. Okay. Like I was saying, the only new one that I really appreciate since Disney took it over is Rogue One. Because Rogue One feels, bro, the more times you watch Rogue One, the better it gets. Literally every time I watch Rogue One, it gets better and better, because it does actually have some of the same feeling. 7 and 8, 9, absolutely abominations, because of the simple fact that they had an actual story that I could get behind, right?
Yeah, with Kylo, yeah.
They're what with Kylo, right? They had the perfect replacement for Darth to take over. And if you watch the opening scene of 7, I'm not lying to you. As much as I could go on a rant right now, but sorry, I can't believe we're talking Star Wars now. But anyways, because that opening scene, when I sat down in the theater, day 1, I was there. I went and did the whole Star Wars. I did the whole run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Right. Okay, I did that. Nice. I did that whole thing for the theater. I did it all day. Damn. And then went and saw 7 opening night.
Damn.
Okay. When Kylo Ren, that opening scene where he's deflecting laser shots and he holds that blaster shot in midair and he looks over at Finn, right? Literal chills through my whole body. I was like, they've done it. They're actually going to pull this off. I'm like, Kylo is going to be the next Darth. Like, he had that presence, the way that they directed that opening scene, the way that they showed off his power right there. I was like, okay, you got me. I didn't know what to expect out of you, Disney, but you guys are, if this is how the rest of the movie's going to go and the rest of the trilogy is going to go, you got me. We all know he turns into a freaking crybaby, emo, emotional wreck. Like, okay. So, but what I was just going to say, I won't go on a rant here because I could go on a rant about each one of these. But anyways, they had the perfect arc I could get behind. I could get behind Rey if they hadn't made her progress or just instantly powerful like they did. But she had the perfect, they had the perfect setup. I'm going to say this. If you kept Kylo as the Darth figure, if they had simply, and this would be too obvious, but I don't care because the originals were obvious as well, outside of Darth being Luke's father, which was one of the biggest twists in movie history that nobody saw coming. But you easily could have had this simple arc and it would have fixed everything, in my opinion. Of course, what the fuck do I know? I don't make movies. I don't write scripts. Kylo Ren is the Darth Vader of that series. He is not the whiny emo baby that they turn him into. He actually is following in the footsteps of Darth, and he actually does do it. Eliminates the need for the nonsensical characters on the dark side. You just make him the embodiment of Darth Vader. He turns Padme to the dark side during the trilogy. Finn, meanwhile, right? Finn's story demolished through that trilogy. Took a freaking amazing character.
He should have became a Jedi.
Absolutely.
He shouldn't. No, he didn't need to be the strongest because that would have been Ren. But I mean, that would have been Rey. Excuse me.
But it doesn't matter. But Rey's abilities you could have taken out the whole Palpatine shit. You could have taken out all that because Rey's ability. You have Kylo tempt her to the dark side. She turns to the dark side in episode 2. Starts learning the dark side. Meanwhile, Finn is on his path to become a Jedi. And then 3, you have Finn get her back again. You get Finn to go and get Rey back again, and he gets her back. And now all of a sudden she is one of the most complete Jedi because she has learned the dark side and she has the light side in her. It takes care of a lot of it.
Or you have Finn go get freaking go get freaking whatchamacallit, Luke. Goddamn.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You could have had Finn train with Luke. Luke could have
made more sense.
And Luke could have shown up on the scene as Luke's fucking Skywalker when the universe fucking needs him, when the light side needs him, when the light side needs him, Luke fucking Skywalker shows up as the person who he turned into, not the whiny little kid that we see in episode 3 that starts out that has no idea what he's doing, but he became the Jedi Master, and he shows up as he should, as Yoda did in different way, but he shows up and he takes Finn. Huh?
That's Yoda 2 hands.
Yeah, yeah, but that's the early one. But I'm talking about in episode 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
But you have Luke show up knowing that somebody needs to take Finn to balance it out, the Force, as much as possible, knowing full well that Finn would have the best chance to bring Rey back and balance out the Force between light and dark. Mm-hmm. And that's how you do it. And Luke actually is a likable Luke Skywalker versus yet again turning Luke into something
they made him a Mitch.
Bro.
Made him a Mitch.
You're going to go hide on a fucking island by yourself in isolation and drink blue milk. I mean, because things didn't turn out the way you wanted it to.
Even if you did, you didn't train. Like, it just wasn't in his gene to just do that. Like, I just the way that they wrote it and everything.
I understood what they were trying to do. They were trying to parallel it with what when Yoda had to go into had to go into isolation.
That is different.
That is way fucking different. In the way that Yoda handled shit, different.
Yeah, Yoda was. Yoda was confident in Anakin, and Anakin went.
And Obi
not
was
only
out.
dark.
and again,
that,
Obi, the Jedi were forced into isolation at that point. Right?
Yeah. Yoda had many other reasons to
right.
be sad.
But Yoda wasn't brooding.
No.
Yoda wasn't freaking sitting there having a bunch of self fucking pity. Like Yoda wasn't thinking about burning up the Jedi fucking volumes so that nobody could ever get the fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck out of here. All that shit is nonsense. Anyway, sorry. That's my Star Wars rant for the day. They had the perfect. I think turning Rey to the dark side, leaning into that. We know that they had thought about doing that.
Right.
Actually having Finn come back as a Jedi, bring her back, convince her to come back. Perfect arc, explains a lot of Rey's powers. Like there was so much more they could have done, bro. Kylo Ren could have been a fucking amazing villain.
He should have been.
Amazing villain.
He should have been.
Anyway.
Definitely should have been. Well, ladies and gentlemen, where else could you go and get some random Star Wars conversations in the middle of your gaming talk?
He's going, give me Yoda with an SMG freaking cane. Hell yes. Let's rock and roll.
Raymond asked, why did Yoda go into hiding? I was informed that they are basically the same. Two dudes that failed and then went to hide.
No, the Jedi Order, I mean, the last of the Jedi, I mean, Obi-Wan, and Yoda, they had to go hide because the dark side at that time was overtaking everything.
Yeah.
Right. The dark side was the more again, that's the whole storyline. Everybody knows this. It's a balance in the Force. The Force brings people along, hence why Anakin was born. Right. Anakin was born to a virgin, supposedly. He was created by the Force to balance out. He wound up turning dark side and then unbalance the Force again. So then the Force had to rebalance itself. Obviously, along comes Luke. Obviously, Yoda's in hiding to stay alive, to be able to give, along with Obi-Wan, some knowledge to Luke to make him ready for the end. All of that is about the Force kind of controlling things without, it. So that's what they were trying to present with Luke in the new trilogy, was that he kind of did the same thing, but the situation wasn't the same at all. The Force powers that were available weren't coalescing in one spot or another per se. Palpatine suddenly is supposedly still alive through all this shit, but it wasn't the same scenario that was presented in the originals, and Luke wasn't the same character he was in the originals, or wound up being in the originals. That's where I think they just went wrong. But what do I know? I know nothing.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it about Star Wars here. But there has been something much more major that has been that could be looked at as very depressing and unfortunate. Speaking of things that we didn't like going the right way. And that is the layoffs for Microsoft. Then there's been layoffs that have happened over the last couple of years. Really, last year was pretty bad too. From the little bit of research that I did here, it looked like there was more than more than 240,000 people lost their jobs in 2023, which was a total that was already higher, 50% higher than the last year, and was growing. So 2022, 2023, and now 2024, those losses seem to have continuously carried. Again, a lot of this, at least for what I have seen, is definitely been because of the inflation from COVID, right? You have a lot of these people, a lot of these companies who are now overstaffed, right? They were trying to prepare themselves, make sure they had everything that they needed to cover themselves for whatever flux that they needed. And now things are kind of normalized, although things aren't normal. But nonetheless, the loss of jobs is definitely terrible, and it's unexcusable. Again, you can't... For me, at least, as a consumer looking at it, you can't, as a $3 trillion company now, as you go on to announce that you're a $3 trillion company and then let go of all the people that you let go. A lot of people were leading with the fact, that was a lot of redundancy. We're finding out more and more that it's not just redundancies. There are other people who are also losing their jobs. There have been studios that have been closing. Especially for Blizzard, the survival game known as, I believe, Odyssey, is now supposedly has stopped production on that game. The game was in production for 6 years apparently, and from some of the things that is that official, Pong, that where we can officially pull that? Yeah. Who came? But that was Jason Schreier, right?
Yeah, Schreier confirmed that Schreier came that it had started in like 2017, that they had started early work on the game in 2017. Yes.
And with them supposedly starting the game in 2017, apparently 6 years later, they were still trying to decide whether they were going to run with the Unreal Engine, or which they were saying that they had issues with running 100 people servers or whatever the case on Unreal, versus the mobile engine that it's an internal engine for them, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
That is a rumored to be a mobile engine. Now, I'm not going to be overly critical, but like, oh, it's a mobile engine, so therefore it's going to be less quality. Again, Unity is used as a mobile engine, so I can't, for mobile games too, so I can't just downplay it that way. There's no telling what the engine could be possible of doing. What does alarm me, though, along with the additional things, I think I want to pull directly from that Jason Schreier article. Let me see if I can get that pulled up here really quickly.
Do you have it?
I should. If you got it, go. Can you post it at the bottom of the DM from me?
Yep.
I can pull it up. I think it's a little bit further back.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, perfect.
I'm posting right now.
Yeah, he posted the DMs. I'm going to bring it up because some of the details that are in here kind of lead me to believe that there was some mismanagement that was going on to here, because what the article, at least from Jason Schreier, reads is as if the team still didn't know what engine that they were going to work on, and they were hoping that Microsoft would put them back on Unreal or allowed them to get back to Unreal, which also from the article, they were saying that they were making things in Unreal that they were going to have to get rid of. So did you get rid of that stuff, or does it still exist? It was just, there's really conflicting and confusing information that's coming from this. So let me go ahead and break this down for you guys here. Appreciate you sending that, Paul.
Yep, no problem.
Here we go. Microsoft cancels new Blizzard video game after 6 years of development. This is coming directly from Bloomberg. This is not on a blocked by paywall or anything, so that's dope to see. But it starts off by this. Again, this is written by Jason Schreier, and it was done on the 25th. Video game maker Blizzard Entertainment canceled one of its biggest projects on Thursday as part of a reorganization under owner Microsoft Corp. That led to massive layoff of 1,900 people, or 8% of the gaming division's total staff. 8% of the total division. Again, it's not, put it in perspective, it's not super massive. Again, 10% of people losing their jobs is nothing to scoff at regardless, because it's going to affect their lives, right? Some people may have to move. It's not just about the money and what they're going to be compensated for after, or whatever the case. It's people lost their jobs. It's unfortunate, but it needs to be talked about. The cancellation of the game, codenamed Odyssey, left Blizzard employees reeling as some lost their jobs and others were left wondering about the future of the studio. Microsoft announced the news in an email to employees early Thursday morning, and many members of the Odyssey team were subsequently informed that they were being let go. The one thing that I don't like about this is, why don't these big corporations know beforehand? Why can't they give you a warning? Why can't we have a Thursday morning meeting letting me know, hey, unfortunately, we're going to have to let some people go within the next 2 weeks. We just want to inform you guys, this is what's going to happen. At the end of that 2 weeks, that's going to be your last. Hey, this is your last day. Make sure you got everything that you need, and you kind of go from there. I mean, of course, it's going to be up to you as the person, not do nothing stupid within those 2 weeks so that you can have all of the benefits.
That's why.
I mean, I get that. But at
that's why they lock them out now too, which is absolutely shitty.
At that same point,
allow them to go get their shit from their desk.
But you should hold those people accountable if they do dumb shit with your information. And I get it leaves so much to be interpreted and all the. Again, I don't work for Microsoft. So I don't understand why they wouldn't be able to do that. From what I have experienced in business, even from what I have seen. That's why I'm kind of coming from that perspective. I've never been personally in a situation that it didn't make sense where you couldn't give people a warning that, hey, this is what's happening. and then kind of transition people out, it would have been better for the company. Again, it just worked. It would have worked better for everybody. But if you're being a selfish company, there's a reason they're a $3 trillion business. Again, if this is the best way that you feel about it, I don't agree with it. I don't think that it's okay. But, and like Vandal says, because of America, that's why I steal. And yeah, and that's super unfortunate to me, at least. And again, why this is a conversation, right? It goes on to say, the news arrived 3 months after Microsoft closed the $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard in the largest video game deal in history. As part of the reorganization, Blizzard also parted ways, with Blizzard president Mike Ybarra and chief design officer Alan Adham, one of the company's co-founders. Blizzard said its new president will be announced next week. Now, on this part, just for Mike Ybarra himself, because of previous statements that were made from Mike Ybarra, and how passionate he seemed to be about Blizzard and everything that they had going on, it is a bit weird that all of a sudden he's being moved out, or that he's retiring, or that he's leaving. I should say, not retiring. Yeah. He might go somewhere else. I don't think he announced he's retiring. He's leaving.
He said he's going to travel the world.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Sounds like a retirement to me, unless he's means that is he's going somewhere else to work across the globe. I don't know.
Maybe. For me, I think that there's a couple different things going on. Kind of what I hinted at about Diablo earlier. There's more and more information that's coming out to tell me that a lot of the rumors that we were getting about Diablo not being complete, them having issues behind the scenes, kind of lead me to believe why Diablo's where it's at right now. And again, with all intents and purposes, they still ended up putting out a decent product, a good product. And in my eyes, I mean, again, it was a 9 out of 10 for me, at least from what I've played. And it's not perfect for the longevity of it, but I think that's what gets me to kind of believe that there's some other things happening behind the scenes that just don't add up. Maybe Mike Ybarra was at the head of that. Maybe he was part of the managerial issues that were happening at Activision Blizzard, and some conversations were had. Maybe, again, the one other thing, you can want whatever position that you could want, and I know Mike wants to be at the top of the table, or at least have a seat at the head of the table. I do want there to be known not everybody's meant to be a leader, though. And if there's some other leaders that could possibly take that position, it would probably be a better fit, and you don't agree with that as someone who is in that leader position currently, and you have somebody like Microsoft who just acquired you and said, hey, Mike, I see what you're trying to do. I see what your vision is, but that's not where we're trying to take it. And the way that you're going about it doesn't align with what we have going on. Maybe that's what ended up happening. And again, we'll see if he ends up going somewhere else. I saw you guys, heard you guys bring up the point that depending on who replaces him is going to tell a lot, right? So I mean, it's only going to be up to our interpretation up to this point, unless he writes a memoir or something else where we get other information.
He needs to write a book. Even if it's one-sided, I gotta hear some of the stories from both Microsoft and ABK. Ybarra is, now that he's been in both places during massive upheavals, I've got to hear some of the story. Like I said, I know it would be one-sided, but I would still love to see him write a book about his perspective of what happened behind the scenes. It would be crazy.
And Vandal, I don't know if I can agree with that. I haven't seen enough to crucify it like that. He says Mike Ybarra was a baby Bobby Kotick.
Well, I mean, there's again,
I don't know.
I take everything that comes out of these situations with salt, because anybody who's worked for any companies with any type of situation like this, you're going to have disgruntled employees,
right,
whose perspective is way skewed, and they will say things that you're going to have people that hate other people for whatever reason, especially when it's a boss employee relationship, and employees will say things that just aren't true about former bosses. But I will say there is mixed feelings about Mike Ybarra. There has been things that have been said publicly that would give you a good impression and also give you a bad impression. We saw some of that as the week went on too, or the past couple of days as well. So yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say I believe Ybarra. I thought Ybarra what he did with Abe when he took over Blizzard during a tumultuous time within Activision because of the HR and everything else. I thought he did a great, again, from what I can see from the outside, again, I know nothing. If he was part of the problem, then maybe, like Steve was just talking about, maybe Booty and Phil had already marked him as gone, right? Maybe they knew that he was part of the problem. I don't know, but I'm just saying from the outside looking in, when Ybarra took over that terrible situation, remember he was supposed to co-run it with God, I forget her name now, co-run it, and then she wound up resigning a week later or whatever the hell it was. She was like, no, I'm out of here. I'm done. And Ybarra took sole responsibility. Some of the changes that we saw from Blizzard as far as the, what they were working on and things that came out, it felt like he solidified and kind of stabilized the situation and kind of helped Blizzard maintain during that really bad time when all the lawsuits were coming out and that kind of stuff. So that's just from the outside. Internally, if he was part of the problem, if he was like Bobby Kotick's dude that never said no to Bobby, if he was a yes man and that's how he got there, then sure, I can definitely see why maybe it was obviously time for him to go along with this. I don't know. Yeah. I just thought it was a big L overall because obviously Ybarra has done a lot of work in this industry, but if he's one of the bad eggs, and again, I don't know. If he was one of the bad eggs, though, yeah, you had to get rid of him, obviously. If it ever comes out that Ybarra was a massive part of the problem, absolutely, they made the right decision. Just from the outside looking in, I still think it's an L losing him. But, just looks weird, again, who am I? Who am I? I don't know.
It just looks weird, so I get people questioning it for sure. But yeah, I guess we'll end up seeing. I mean, I saw a lot of people just run it with, oh, this just proves Microsoft. Look, Mike Ybarra doesn't even want to stay. Is Microsoft? Look how evil Microsoft must be evil. If that's the case, this guy said he was going to die with Blizzard. Look now, look where he's at now. I mean, I can hear that, but I don't know.
And so can I. And like we joked about last night, right? About Booty. I don't mean to hijack this, but I think this is an interesting. This is an interesting conversation because this was one of the shocking things that came out. At least one of the more shocking things to me. There was a lot. I mean, this was a rabbit hole that kept going. But we joked about it last night a little bit, but kind of serious too. Now that we know, I said last night the biggest winner out of all of this, right? Sarah obviously got her position as great. Booty's the biggest winner out of all of this.
Oh yeah.
That man went from, we had conversations here still years ago about whether or not Booty was the man for the job, right? Can he handle all these studios? Yeah. We all had conversations about it on multiple shows, right? Again, we're not afraid to ask those questions when we see certain things happening. You can't be. But Booty's the biggest winner. He got the biggest vote of confidence out of all this crew. Like everybody kind of knew Sarah was in line, right? And that Sarah was moving up, but there was these questions about Booty. But then we saw the Booty emails from the whole case, the acquisition case and the courts. And we saw that Booty's a stone cold killer behind the scenes and that he speaks differently. He's not necessarily the smiling, nice guy that we see. Like it's kind of meek and he's kind of shy on camera. He's not that in the corporate boardroom. He's one of those dudes, right? Like we can outspend the competition, right? We can outspend them out of this industry. Like Booty's a stone cold killer. And obviously they believe in him. They gave him a bigger position. Now, whether or not you still think he's the right person for the job. Yeah. Again, that's fine. There's questions to be asked. Jaffe's been asking, said flat out that he doesn't think Booty's right for the job. But what I will say is still here in the Ybarra situation, the fact that I did believe Ybarra when he said you will have to drag me out of Blizzard, the fact that I was out here speculating that I thought Ybarra was in for the long haul and that they would keep him.
Seems like it.
Booty's comments, right? Booty came out and said that Mike made this decision, on his own. But you can look at how we know Booty is behind the scenes now and everything you were just talking about right there in that short second before I hijacked. And look at Booty's comments where he said, I sat down and had a conversation with Mike about his future. We were kind of joking, but if you look at it from the standpoint that maybe Booty behind the scenes is a little hardcore, like that's almost mafia. I mean, like we sat him down and like had a conversation about your future. Like Mike, come on in. Like
if you think about it, Pong.
Yeah.
Xbox is on top of them, right? They're
right.
Activision Blizzard is coming in underneath.
Well,
so
yeah, right.
Matt Booty is already your top dude. Like Mike was the top dude over here, but now you're underneath this top dude, and it's Matt Booty. Right. So when your new boss says, "Hey, we gotta let's talk about your future."
That's what I said, man. I mean, I've been on both sides of the desk, and I understand how those conversations go, but it just sounds like maybe potentially
it could be bad. I mean, again, they could have had casual conversation, and they both came to a conclusion. And your bar could have been like, Moody, that's just not. It's not me. You're telling me that I'm not a qualified leader? I'm not saying that's what he said, but if that's what happened, Booty, we think that this person is more qualified and has all these things brought to the table, and there's just no tell. Or maybe this. Again, it's just really,
or maybe Ybarra and him discussed what was going to happen with Blizzard, right? In the future, and that these cuts were going to happen, that they were going to cancel Odyssey,
they weren't happy
right?
About it.
And maybe Ybarra wasn't happy, right? Maybe Ybarra wasn't happy and said, "This is not what I envisioned. This is not what I wanted to do." Again, his statement on leaving had some hints like, having already worked for Microsoft for 20 plus years and the acquisition now being closed, it's time for me to once again be a fan from the outside, right? It sounded like that quote. I was like, that sounds like he's still harboring, bad blood as well, that he's basically saying, I'm not doing this again. I have zero interest in doing this again, which contradicts all of his other previous quotes. Even at BlizzCon, after the acquisition was complete, he made some very bold statements that he was going to have to be dragged out of Blizzard. So whatever happened, though, Steele, whatever happened, obviously, at the end of the day, Mike Ybarra is gone, and they're going to announce somebody new next week. And that's where the fascination comes in for me. Is it going to be an Xbox person, or are they going to hire up from within Blizzard or Activision, right? Is it going to be right? Because if it's an Xbox person, and I'm starting to lean, right. I like Lulu, but I'm sad that she didn't get a position in Microsoft. I thought she was great for communication, for comms. She's really good at what she does. Whether you love her or hate her, she's great at comms. But if it's an Xbox person, I'm starting to lean that it's going to be an Xbox person. They are fully putting a stamp on Activision Blizzard, saying, this is now ours. We are going to change things here. This is not going to be the old ABK, right? That we are going to have because they've already said the transition was going smoother than expected. Bobby left earlier than expected because of it. They are going to put their stamp on this company and say, no. We have a vision here, a big vision. Like I said last night, the industry doesn't wait for you just because you made this big acquisition. Everybody else is moving on. Everybody else is moving forward. Tech's moving forward. They have a big giant battle with Google and Apple planned for the mobile part. That's the priority reason they bought ABK, as they stated it, was for the mobile side of things. If they put an Xbox person in charge, they are walking in and saying, yeah, this change is happening now because we don't have time. We don't have time to continue to naturally transition. We need somebody in there that is going to implement the Xbox Microsoft philosophy from the get-go. And because we've got things we got to get done. We're opening a mobile store against Apple and Google here in the next few months. We got plans. We've got a vision. We're moving on. We have to get there now. Like, sorry, I didn't mean to hijack.
No, 100%. Yeah. Good point.
That's just my opinion.
No, good point. So add on to that point. It goes on to say the maker of many hit games, including World of Warcraft and Diablo 4, has mostly focused on its large existing franchises. But in recent years, the company made a big investment into Odyssey, building up a team of more than 100 people to develop it. The game, set in a new universe, was in development for more than 6 years and outlasted many other Blizzard incubation projects. Now, the future of such efforts outside of existing franchises is uncertain. In a statement, Blizzard spokesman Andrew Reynolds, I guess depending on how you want to say it, said the game's development had ended as part of a focus on projects that hold the most promise for future growth. The game's development had ended as part of a focus on projects that hold the most promise for future growth. Just because Palworld was successful does not mean that Odyssey was going to be.
No.
And I get, because Joe's kind of hitting at that, the survival genre, this and that. I was like, I hear you, but obviously something was off.
And Jez believes that the game looked good too from what he saw, right? That's why he was really disappointed, because from what he had seen, he thought this thing had a lot of potential, right? So take it for what it is.
Yeah, take that with a grain of salt for sure.
Yeah.
Then they go on to say, and that the company would move some of the people on the team to one of several exciting new projects Blizzard has in the early stages of development. Odyssey started in 2017 as a pitch from Craig Amai, a Blizzard veteran who worked on World of Warcraft. It was conceived as a survival game like Minecraft and Rust, but with more polish and fewer bugs. In subsequent years, the team working on the game expanded. It was announced publicly in 2022 as the company began hiring more staff. Despite the additional resources, the project struggled largely due to technical issues surrounding the engine. And this is the part that makes it most questionable for me, and I think what led to them canceling the game. Well, but we'll get into that. Technical issues surrounding the engine or the suite of tools and technology that developers use to construct the game, according to people familiar with the process. Odyssey was originally prototyped on the popular Unreal Engine from Epic Games. But Blizzard executives decided to switch, in part because it wouldn't support their ambitions for vast maps supporting up to 100 players at once. Okay, so you already see where their scope was. Fine. Blizzard instead directed the Odyssey team to use Synapse, an internal engine that the company had originally developed for mobile games and envisioned as something that would be shared across many of its projects. So you go from Unreal, an engine that has more support, to an engine that is used for mobile games, and you thought that this engine was going to support the 100 people that you were trying to support on one world or server or whatever the case. Again, I'm not into game development, but even that statement by itself doesn't make sense to me. Like, again, nothing against mobile games, but I haven't seen very many mobile games outside of Call of Duty, like Call of Duty Mobile, where you can get many people online and it works pretty flawlessly. Again, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm inexperienced and I'm ignorant to it, but please point me to a mobile game that is of high quality, has good graphics. Again, from what they were trying to sell here, this was going to be along the lines of Minecraft and Rust. I mean, neither one of those games are like super graphically impressive. Minecraft can have its moments. And Rust, I don't. From what I remember, I don't think so. So if it was going to be better than that, I just from that statement alone, you were going to work on Unreal, but it wasn't going to support the 100 players. But instead, we're going to move to the Synapse engine that we think we're going to be able to use for other games, but it was developed for mobile. So I don't know. It's just something's off about that.
And it doesn't have enough tools where the developers have to go make things in Unreal Engine 5 anyways for the game to kind of develop like early stuff, because Synapse doesn't have the tools to actually make what you need to make at that time. Like that's the other.
See, and this next point that makes it even more strange about this entire thing, which is why I think it led to why I think it's mismanagement and led to getting canceled. He goes on to say, but that led to significant problems as the technology was slow to coalesce. Talking about the Synapse engine, and Odyssey's artists instead spent time prototyping content in the Unreal Engine that they knew would have to be discarded later, said the people. So you're working on transitioning to a Synapse engine that's having a hard time transitioning, and you have your artists still making stuff in Unreal?
Correct. Yeah.
Something's lost in translation. Something doesn't lead me to believe that this game is it was in a good spot. Some things just don't add up, and we've seen too many times where games have been presented one way, but they don't play that way. Look, the Asian flavor style of games that me and Punk talk about all the time, that is a common theme for them. Now, more recent years, they're starting to hit those notes, right? Black Myth Wukong. We were hoping that the game was going to look exactly how the game was sold. It does. You can see some things have been pulled back, maybe adjusted as we've gotten more into production and the game's getting ready to release, which is supposed to be this year also. So it's just like, maybe it was one of those things. I don't know. Anyway, it's just weird. Making stuff in Unreal still, and your other engine is having issues transitioning over. Then he goes on to say, when the Microsoft acquisition was finalized, some Blizzard staff were hopeful that they might be able to switch back to Unreal Engine rather than trying to finish the game on Synapse. In an interview at BlizzCon in November, Ybarra said that their new parent company would offer them the freedom to use the technology of their choice without having to go through the board of directors as in the past. Okay, fair. But if you're 6 years in development, and you just got word last year, shout out to you, Jason Schreier, for getting that information. If your bar just said that last year, that the parent he's hoping that the parent company would offer them freedom to use the technology of their choice, that doesn't sound like the game was anywhere close to being complete. Ready? Close to the end of development? This is maybe still in the first half of the development cycle. To me, it sounds like. I don't even think you're in a closed beta. You're not even alpha state.
No.
And if that's not the case in 6 years, so you want to be given another at least 3 years to work on this game in Unreal? And you had people prototyping content for Unreal Engine. Prototyping. That means you were hoping that Microsoft was going to allow you to work in Unreal to use your prototype content to somehow transition what you did in Synapse this entire time because you weren't working in Unreal, because you already made the decision that it would not support the ambitions. How does this lead up to me believing, and shout out to Jazz, I'm not discrediting him or anything, and if the game looked good, it looked good, but all of this doesn't get me to believe that the game was anywhere close to being good.
Or done. Just in particular, done.
Or just done in general.
Because we had the impressions out there that some people were believing that it was going to be announced at, the showcase or BlizzCon this year and ready for release. Like there was some people who thought it was going to be shown off last year at BlizzCon. Right? We were getting the impressions that this thing was closer to being done. But if this reporting is accurate, and again, take Schreier for a grain of salt. Again, sources are sources. I personally, again, Schreier's an a-hole, and I don't like him. But anyway, his reporting has been really accurate over the years. Even if he does ambulance chases, he is to a lot of people, he is scum because of what he goes after and what he doesn't go after. But at the same point, most of the time he's pretty accurate, or it comes out later that he was spot on with his sources, that it was correct. So if this is the case, Steele, this thing wasn't even close. Again, as a gamer, I never want to see IP canceled. We know for a fact, even though we don't hear about it, that games are canceled all the time. Stuff that we don't know were being worked on are canceled all the time across the entire industry. There are so many projects left on the table that we probably all wind up crying on stream if we found out what wasn't made at one point, that if we found out that it was true, right? So as a gamer, I hate to hear this. Like, I wanted a new IP from Blizzard. I was excited about this. Again, I do like survival games. This would have been dope. Blizzard polish on a brand new IP from Blizzard in the first time in decades. Hell yeah, sign me up. I'd love to try this game. But the facts are the facts. If this is real, if this is true, and I'm going to take Schreier's sources as real, then this game wasn't coming out anytime soon. And there was still a lot of hurdles to get over. And to Steele's point, through this article, the devs were hoping and crossing their fingers that the acquisition would allow them to move over to Unreal Engine 5 instead of continuing to work on Synapse. Like, okay, that doesn't sound like a project that is necessarily a lock to ever come out no matter what at the end of the day. Because they could have transitioned over Unreal and found out the limitations were real, and it all of a sudden wasn't the game that they had originally envisioned. We've heard that story before too in the past. Well, then what do you do? So whether or not this was Blizzard's internal decision or whether or not this was Microsoft coming in and saying, yep, we're done here, it makes sense either way that this project as much as the devs say it was great, as much as we had people like Jez saying that from what he saw was great, like maybe it wasn't, maybe it was a money pit. Maybe it was something that people, and again, I'm not excusing it. I don't want to see games canceled. I want to see games come out and given a chance. At the end of the day, 6 years of worth being thrown away. I can't imagine what that feels like a dev that I was working on a team. And then on top of it, not only is your game canceled, but then a large portion of that group is also laid off in the process and basically done.
After you were told that they may be moved to other teams.
That's horrible. I don't want to hear any of this as a gamer. Like, that's not what I'm saying here, but I'm just saying from a business standpoint, maybe this wasn't the winner that a lot of people or even had the potential. There was still a lot to get over here. There was a lot of road to be laid down the road to get this game out. So maybe it just wasn't worth it at the end of the day. Like, I don't know. I hate to see that was canceled, but anyways.
He goes on to say, despite the challenges, Odyssey appeared to be making progress. People who played early versions of the game enjoyed it and thought it was a lot of potential in the market for a survival game that hit Blizzard's bar of quality. I just don't see how that's possible when you're trying to decide what engine you're going to work on.
Conceptually, I guess they could judge it that way. Conceptually, what they did have up and running maybe was great on Synapse. And they were just hoping it was going to be even better if they got to move to Unreal Engine 5. So I could see. And as a developer, as a creator, Steel, come on, man.
I mean, of course, you're going to be hopeful.
Again, when I was writing, like, there was times where I did sit back and go, damn, I think this is pretty damn good. Now, would anybody else, if I showed it to anybody else, think it was damn good? Maybe, maybe not, right? But as a creator, sometimes you got to believe in your work, and you got confidence in your work, and you believe that you are creating.
I mean, as far as the devs go, of course, that's what I believe. I've just been more so speaking as like anybody else that played outside of the devs. It's just like, it's opinion based. Again,
but that could be wrong too.
Yeah, it could be.
I'm sure if Pocket Pair had shown Palworld.
Oh no, that's a fact. No, that's a fact. They didn't even expect it. Shit, they were downplaying themselves.
I'm sure there have been plenty of people that went, nah, this game sucks. You ain't gonna get any legs, right? So
the devs from Palworld themselves. It was like, there was no way that I anticipated this game was gonna do this. So. He goes on to say, still, Odyssey was years away from completion. At one point, Blizzard was looking to expand the team to hundreds of people in hopes for targeting a 2026 release. I just don't see how that's possible either. But even that seemed overly optimistic to some developers. I bet it did. Instead, the project was canceled as the company concluded that Synapse was not ready for production. I feel like that just answers like fucking all of our questions. Synapse was not ready for production, so the engine needed more work. Mm-hmm. That doesn't seem like we're going to add 100 more people and the engine's going to be fixed.
I made this parallel to Slipspace, Steel. It's not one for one, but what the stuff that we heard behind the scenes of them trying to finish Slipspace while developing Halo Infinite and the problems that they had, and obviously we know how it turned out. Gorgeous looking game. Still, they got it out. One of the best multiplayers ever for Halo, according to a lot of people. But the problems in the development of Halo Infinite with working on Slipspace at the same time and trying to get that engine and the tools up to date, a lot of it parallels what I'm hearing here from this engine. Like, this just wasn't ready. Like, they were having way too many problems here, way too many issues.
Yeah, exactly. Instead, the project was canceled. We went over that. They go on to say, as difficult as making these decisions are, experimentation and risk-taking are part of Blizzard's history in the creative process, spokesman Reynolds said. Ideas make their way into other games or in some cases become games of their own. Starting something completely new is among the hardest things to do in gaming, and we're immensely grateful to all the talented people who supported the project. Again, to me, that is so fucking corporate as fuck, because if you were grateful, then you would have moved all those people over. If you were grateful, and I think this is the part that we kind of lead into the loss of the jobs and just totality for the conversation. Again, it's never good, but we have seen examples of others at the very top take somewhat of a pay cut, even cut their pay in half to able to support the rest of their team. Now, I'm not saying that that's something that has to be done forever. And again, with as much as Microsoft has taken in, I do think it is kind of, and again, I don't want this to be taken as I'm capping for the company. you also have to take in consideration business. What makes sense for the business? No, does it look good for them? Could they have done things to counteract the loss? Sure. But what else were you going to do with the 1,900 people? I do think that there should have been, and a lot of the times, again, Microsoft being one of the bigger companies and being one of the best places to work factually across the world, that's just the reality of the situation, man. When you blow up, when you were in a global pandemic, quote unquote, we're getting more information about that, Pong, which I'm pretty sure you've seen. That's another thing, though. Again, the whole conversation for a different podcast.
Yes,
because seems to be for those who were in speculation town about that we probably were right. Anyway,
maybe.
Nonetheless, we'll find out. But we just came off of a global pandemic, and these companies had to blow up, especially remote wise, and ended up getting in a lot more people on staff than maybe that they ended up needing. And at the end of the day, is it okay just to cut people just out of nowhere for them to be hit broadsided? No. Which is why I'm always going to be on the side of, hey, has to be a better way to do this. But a lot of the time there is that those severance packages, right? I don't know who's all getting that. I know in Florida, you typically don't get things like that. So if you were somebody that worked remotely for Microsoft and you live in the area, maybe you didn't get a severance package because that's not something that happens everywhere. I know people were trying to make, everybody gets severance packages, so it'll be okay. I don't know why everybody's making this a big deal. That's not the case for everybody. And these people who move their families, maybe just got started, because I saw a bit of that. People that had been working there for maybe a year, maybe 2 years, they uprooted their entire family to come work for the business. I mean, again, that's a reality of life also. That happens. Those people now have to decide to do something else. So it's like, we'll have to find a new line of work. And not saying that they wouldn't be able to. Again, they were able to get in with Microsoft. So you already have a big name on your resume. And it's not like you got fired for performance. You got fired because of a layoff, which in hindsight, you want to look at it, does work to your benefit as anybody that's looking for new work coming from out of that. So yes, there's a lot of negatives. And I don't want to downplay it because it's fucked up, regardless of how you want to look at it. The top brass could have probably took a 10% pay cut and probably covered everybody's checks. More than likely, that could have happened.
In a perfect world, sure.
In a perfect world, in a corporate world, and
Nintendo's done it in the past. I mean, again,
in our great country that we have here, is that something that we would do? No. Why? Because we don't give a fuck. Capitalists don't give a damn. Microsoft, again, if this needed to be the wake-up call, and again, we've talked to this before, Microsoft's not your friend. They are a company that are working for your business and will do everything that they need to do to get your business. Just because they're in the top 5 places to work doesn't mean that they're infallible now all of a sudden, or that they're not going to do evil shit. There's a lot of shit that Microsoft has their hands in currently that is very questionable and should be talked about. Again, some deep-rooted things, but, nonetheless, they are one of the more consumer-facing companies that we have. They are an American-based company. They are a company that I do think that we should back to some level because of some of the other national things or worldwide things that are happening. Because if there's anybody that we should support and hold accountable and look at and pay attention to and make sure it's going to be the American-based companies, because we have those impacts for those of us that live in the U.S., right? But us holding them accountable is doing what we're doing right now, saying, hey, that shit isn't okay. There was definitely other ways that you probably could have handled that, letting 1,900 people go just out of nowhere, although there's been almost 300K people let go since 2022, just in the tech industry alone, probably even more than that. I'm just doing a rough number from the little bit of research that I did on it real quick. I don't know. I feel bad, but I also understand why it happened, right? And if I was in the situation, I would be pissed as well. Be like, God damn it, like really? But me being me, I'd have been like, well, damn, I did just work for Microsoft. Maybe I can get in with a Google. Maybe I can get in with a YouTube. Maybe I can get in with Twitch. Maybe I can get in with somewhere else that I was doing a similar job with. And because I have this on my resume now, although it was a fucked up situation, maybe I can make it a positive for myself. I don't know. Again, I don't want to downplay it. I don't want to make it seem like it's something more simple than what it is, because either way, it's not. It's going to be a difficult situation to have. I've never been in charge of running anywhere close to that amount of people, right? So I don't know how you would go across that. Just the reality of the situation is they still have what, 20K people on staff before they're on the gaming division. Just on the, at least on the Activision Blizzard side of things. So it's like they still got one of the bigger teams for gaming that exists. So it's like there's multiple realities and multiple sides that you can look at. Pong, I mean, what else do you have to add on? I know you probably agree with a lot of the points that I brought up right there, but does anything stand out in particular for you about this entire situation with the layoffs and with Odyssey, or anything else that seems a little fishy? And yeah, man, what are your thoughts overall?
There's nothing that we could say that from the human element that is going to make anything better for anybody. Right. I've been, as I've stated this week, I've been on both sides of the desk during one of these situations. Okay. I've been the one that's had to let people go, obviously not 1900. Right. And obviously it's not as personal as what I've had to deal with. I've had to actually face-to-face.
Very people. Personal. Yes.
Very personal. And I've been on the other side. Again, in my business and in finance and in sales, but especially the finance side of things, I've been at companies that have overhired for business that they thought they were going to get from a contract that did not turn out to be what it was originally planned. And they overhired in preparation for it. And literally I think it was less than 90 days in at one place where they were like, yeah, we're sorry. We thought we're going to have, this contract, and we thought that the business was going to be there. It's not there. And we don't have anything. We don't have anywhere to put, you and others that we hired. So we're gonna have to let you go. So I've been on both sides of this, and there's nothing that we can say to help alleviate the absolute awfulness that comes with a situation like this for the actual individuals who were at the job. And then on top of it, potentially a lot of them having families that, like you said, Steele, may have moved for these types of jobs, especially in the tech industry. And again, this isn't just the video games. This is across everywhere. This happens in all industries, right? This isn't a video game thing only. I think that is lost. I think because we are a part of this community that, emotions run high. And I think that people feel like this is this kind of industry only. No, there's many, many, many people who walk into work every day not knowing if it's going to be their last day. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's real life. Okay. That's not just the video game industry. At any given moment, you can be let go. You're just a number to most companies, unless you're lucky enough to either own your own company and then you have a whole different set of risks, or, unless you found the perfect company that really, really does care about you as an employee and you're solid.
Right.
So this idea is not new or anything that the people don't experience. So I have empathy for everybody involved. It's something that was expected if you were listening to the right people. In fact, I'm not talking about us. We did talk about it, but I'm not even talking about us. I'm talking about there were people, the mainstream journalists, the professionals who cover this as a tech industry as a whole, that were waving red flags over 2 years ago when the mass hiring started during the pandemic, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, there was a lot of exciting articles being written. Again, the video game industry, if we're talking about that specifically, was booming more than any other entertainment industry was. That's how they got to be the number one. The pandemic benefited the entertainment industry as a whole, but specifically video games, because obviously the movie industry went through their own problems with not having movies at the theaters and that kind of stuff. They transitioned, all that kind of stuff. But video games blossomed. Okay. So there was all this hiring going on. And then the tech industry as a whole was hiring because Everybody was working from home. Computers were being sold out. We had chip shortages. Everybody was using Zoom. The internet sucked for everybody. Like all this stuff happened. So the tech industry as a whole was hiring. But there was people waving red flags saying, listen, they're overhiring because this is what companies do in these situations. They overcompensate for what's going on because they have to. Mm-hmm. But after the pandemic's done, the numbers are probably going to regress. And that means we're going to have job losses, that people are going to be laid off. And that was already there. That was already put in place. And then on top of it, in any mergers and acquisition, there are going to be layoffs, most likely, especially companies who are similar because of redundancy, et cetera, the stuff that you've all heard. Again, this isn't excusing it away. This is just reality. This is business. Business don't care about your feelings. And we know this. We should all know this. Again, as humans, we have empathy as human beings. We see the outrage out here. We can be mad, shake our fists, yell at these companies. But in reality, we all know that this is how business works, whether we think it should or not. Stockholders, the stock price of Microsoft, they hit their first $3 trillion. They sustained the $3 trillion valuation on the backs of these layoffs. Okay, that's the reality. All right. So here we are, Steele. So here we are. I think the biggest things for me in this, outside of the expected cuts, and we actually covered this as well. We had talked about that Microsoft was going to take the hit. Xbox was going to take the hit after this acquisition. Whenever they decided to make these cuts, they were going to take a black eye. They are taking their black eye right now. This happens. It's deserved. It's a part of the corporate world. Part of capitalism. They're taking their black eye. It doesn't look good. I will say that ABK, had this deal not gone through, we probably would have seen this. We won't ever know, but the word from Bobby Kotick, just the facts that if the acquisition didn't go through, their stock price would have dropped more. The facts that ABK themselves had hired during the pandemic and had not made any of those cuts as of yet leads me to believe they would have been making their own cuts on their own time this year as well. Maybe even last year had the deal fallen through. There could have been some closures of studios like Toys for Bob and that kind of stuff outright that I think ABK would have had to make for them. Again, when I say had to make, I meant from a business side to sustain, because Kotick was hinting at this stuff. So all this kind of happened naturally. But the thing that I did find surprising was the studio cuts, a lot of the studio cuts, because we found out that the Call of Duty teams, the Activision teams, were hit hard. That was a little surprising because Call of Duty is still growing. Call of Duty still has a cadence of releases that are coming up.
But they also have like 4 different teams.
They do. And what I'm going to say here, Steele, it still surprised me that happened now. But what I was going to say, what I was going to say was that this feels like not only was it the.
Let's see. Are we back? Are we loaded?
I'm not seeing on my side yet.
Are we loaded in? Hello?
There we go. We're back.
Is anybody there?
I see us. Yeah. Well, OBS has got clogged plumbing today as well, too. That is correct. That is correct. Tim the Sorcerer says YouTube needs more plumbing, Steel. That is facts. But as I was saying, sorry, chat. First of all, again, sorry for the problems. Wish we didn't have this, but it's one of those days. What are we going to do? So we're just going to power through, as we always do. What I was saying, I guess, I don't know where exactly cut off, but the part I'm saying is that with the studio cuts themselves that I saw, especially the Activision, the Call of Duty stuff, and the Overwatch team, if you guys didn't see that one, supposedly, I don't know how many teams Overwatch has on it, but there was a dev post. One of the devs posted that nearly his entire team was let go off of Overwatch. And he was a senior designer on Overwatch. Okay. So Overwatch was also hit, which, again, I don't know how many teams are there. We don't know the breakdown. Like Mav was saying, it'd be great if we could get a pie chart on this, which is insensitive as all get out. But it's just from this kind of point of view to just kind of see what the cuts look like and where the teams are, it would help kind of bring clarity to the situation. But again, this is why we live in speculation town. It's all opinion, and people that come in and try to act like we're speaking facts and that we think we're speaking facts, we aren't for the most part, unless we say we are. It's all speculation and opinion. But just from the outside looking in, I think they are reorging at the same time and trying to clean up some of that. And that's why I think that's why I'm leaning that they're going to put somebody in Xbox in charge over there still, because they want to get this lean and mean.
Right.
And they want to have the studios freed up, some of the studios freed up to potentially start working on other things. That was a part of the quote that you read out of the Schreier article where they talked about new Blizzard projects. It sounds like they have more potential new IPs in the works as well. StarCraft, hello, and other things that maybe they want to get this set up all at one time to have some of the studios freed up from Call of Duty to work on maybe some of these new projects, maybe their own projects, like Phil was talking about when he first announced the acquisition, the potential there to bring back old IP, to potentially bring in new IP and move forward. And, if you're going to take anything out of their quotes that are lawyer approved for these types of situations, they kind of mentioned that this now enabled them to move forward with the vision that they had for ABK. And again, I'll bring up once again, we don't necessarily have the most passion for it here, but the mobile side of things is a big part of this. And I think that they were restructuring, reorging, whatever you want to call it, with a lot of these layoffs as well. So that did catch me off guard. 30% of Toys for Bob's, 30% of Sledgehammer. Like that's considerable, man.
It's big.
But if this is the only time that they have to do this, if this is the one big shot that they had to do, and I'm hoping that it is, and that they are, again, looking at the studio saying, we're going to get you off of necessarily having to do Call of Duty by making some of these moves. I know it doesn't make sense when you talk about it, because you would obviously say, well, you need more devs, not less devs. But that's not necessarily true if they have a plan in place to move these teams to other things. Maybe they just said, well, you don't need that many people because you're not going to be working on Call of Duty anymore. And you'd love to see those people get other jobs within Xbox, move elsewhere. But if that's not possible and they got to do this, then that's what they're going to do from a business side. Again, the insensitive side of things. And again, I'm not that dude. I have empathy for sure. It's just when we talk about this, I'm trying to find a clear picture of what's going on here, at least in my head. So I think that was the moves. Customer service team being completely wiped, supposedly, from Activision Blizzard King. I hate it. Customer service has gone down the complete. It's gone completely.
It's complete
over the past 2 decades. Customer service sucks because it's outsourced everywhere. Obviously, Microsoft outsources their customer service already. So when they looked at that section, there was they looked at it from a purely money standpoint. That was a number standpoint, said we already have deals in place for outsourcing a customer service. There is no reason we need to staff ABK's customer service. We'll just transition that over because they are now part of Xbox into the Microsoft deal with whoever they outsource to. That is awful. Like that, again, I got nothing on that. That is a pure numbers thing, through and through. It's cold-hearted, sucks. It's business, it's capitalism, it's all of it's big trillion-dollar, billion-dollar corporations making decisions. But yeah, I think that's all I really got to say, Stu. Again, I hope everybody finds opportunities. Even if it's not in the video game world, I saw a lot of people, that's the big thing. Oh, people work so long and hard to get into the industry that they love, and now there's a chance that they won't be able to go back to the industry. Again, I'm not going to be cold-hearted about it. Everybody wants to work where they love to work, but the reality is most people don't. And I just hope these people take the experience that they did gain in the tech world, in video games, and are able to find opportunities, even if it's outside of the video game industry.
Yeah.
Chances are you will have an opportunity to come back to the video game industry at some point if you're good at what you do. But I just hope they find opportunity elsewhere for their families, for themselves, to be able to support themselves through this. It's not easy. It's not the best market to be looking for a job right now. It's not prime by any stretch of the imagination, but I just hope everybody lands on their feet again, and real soon. And I hope the people that did get the severance packages I hope that helps them, and I hope that helps their family. It's not going to be the same. Obviously, we know how that goes too. It's a portion, so it's not going to be one for one. But I have empathy for everybody. I feel for everybody that is affected by this. And I just, again, I hope this is the last time we talk about this year for Microsoft and Xbox. This is going to continue. For anybody who doesn't know, the people who have been waving the red flags early on about this are still waving the red flags and saying across the industry, across tech, expect this trend through 2024 and into 2025. They are saying at least. So expect these things to come up. We saw more this week. Riot Games, the developers behind Ruiner, just laid off 50% of their people. Like I should say, giant corporations and small dev studios are doing this right now. Like it sucks, but this is the aftershocks of the pandemic and the regression of numbers and potentially signs of the industry evolving once again, because we've heard a lot of talk about the budget levels. We've heard a lot of talk about there's so much content out there that, games are having a harder time, even if they're good. Making sales, making money, even if they're considered good games. People are having problems. So I think that this might be part of that period where the industry is still growing, evolving, but it's also contracting in some ways and also looking at itself, and decisions are being made that cutbacks need to happen. Budgets need to get in line, that we need to really think about how we're making these games. And that starts with the number of devs that we have on our teams as well. So I think that we might be seeing some self-reflection here, which again, doesn't help anybody that loses their job over this stuff, but it is the reality of where we're at right now in this industry.
Yeah, and that's a super unfortunate part. We definitely want to see it get better. But again, it's the growth of the industry. Hopefully things do improve, but
yeah. And Xbox, you going for the people out there who are talking about, well,
downplaying it,
seen all this stuff. Well, no, the people who are saying that Xbox is getting over, is having the spotlight put on them more so than all the other people who have been doing these cuts. You have to realize that as a $3 trillion company, as Xbox is a $1 billion company, they're going to, for the reasons that because emotions run high during these times for human beings. Like, we are emotional about this stuff because it's human beings being impacted. And when you see a $3 trillion company, the emotional side, I don't know how to put it, the adolescent side of things come out, and it's very easy to look at a $3 trillion company and just say, why doesn't Satya take a pay cut? Why don't they do this? Why does their bonuses paid out? Why don't they just skip their bonuses, keep these people on board? That's what comes out, and it's an easy target, being that it's Microsoft, being that it's Xbox. It's a very easy target versus even like a Riot Games, right? That laid off a bunch of people this week.
Yeah, sorry guys, don't know what's happening or what's causing it to do that. Again, it's not, my computer is not struggling running anything, and OBS just said, you know what? We're fuck it. I know you're on a roll right now, but fuck it. What's also weird, again, I streamed before, no issues, streaming to Twitch and all that good stuff. Now it crashes, it'll crash in an hour, crash in 30 minutes. It just crashed, it didn't crash for 2 hours right there at one point, and now it crashed again back to back. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. It's weird. I'm not struggling over here, so I don't know what's causing to do that. Maybe it's an update. There was an update to OBS here recently, so maybe that's what's causing the issues. But one thing. Fun. We've had no drop frames this episode, so
we're just dropping the whole damn show.
Just the whole show.
I'll end it here, Steele, real quick too, just to finish up, because I do want to make this point. I haven't heard a lot of people speak on this, as far as a kind of a result of what's happening in the industry as a whole right now. This, whatever you think about unions, and I've very mixed growing up in a union family. I'm very mixed. I know the bad side of unions, and I also know the potential good side of unions, right? So I know both. And I know right now unionization is being championed across the tech industry as a whole because they've been so resistant to it. Specifically, Microsoft, when they came out during the acquisition, said they would not resist. Unionization was a big moment. They got the unions on board with them. I've seen some of the unions, come out and speak out against the layoffs, even if there was some to be expected, obviously, but they still got to speak out against it because that's who they are. But my point being is because of the turmoil in the industry right now, when it comes to the layoffs and the devs, if you are for unions and you are for the unionization of devs, this definitely could be a massive jumping off point for devs to get serious about that and to really start considering their options, right? And to really start pushing forward into that space with unionization. So that could be again, depending on how you look at it, positive result for the devs in the future, that a lot of them may wind up forming unions or joining unions so that in the future, when layoffs do come around, because they are going to come around, that they possibly are going to have that backing, and it's not going to be as easy for some of these big companies to do this, right? It's going to be, they're going to have a lot more considerations when they look to start cutting people. If you are unionized, it will make the company pause, even if they eventually do go through with it, because they are going to have legal ramifications. They are going to have a lot of situations pop up that they're going to have to look at before they just go ahead and make a decision like this. So I think that's one of the good things that could happen down the road here with this, as more and more devs start talking about unionizing, because we just saw what the Hollywood strike just happened, right? With the White Writers Association and stuff. So it forces people to the table, and so I think that is definitely a good thing that could come out of this down the road. Again, considering, depending on how you look at unions, again, I could argue both ways. Being somebody who lived through multiple strikes, I know what it does, and I know what it doesn't do. So, and I also know who it protects and who it doesn't protect sometimes. So, but I just think that's one positive to look at out of this as well. Again,
yeah, for sure. There was a few more other things that ended up happening this week, but we will go ahead and just start winding things down, since OBS obviously doesn't want us to get into anything else. And again, we've been already live for quite some time here. I will just run by them real quick. In case you didn't know, and we've talked about it multiple times here, Sony's CEO, Kentaro Yoshida, said players will be able to play their favorite game wherever there is computing. They will expand their business to PC, mobile, and cloud, but PlayStation will remain the core product. I wonder where I heard that before.
And I'll add to that a little bit too. Yeah, you're right, Stu. I'll add that to a little bit too, as well. Again, Jez, shout out Jez Corden, Windows Central. Everybody will give him the full byline. Editor in chief over at Windows Central, or senior editor. Is he senior editor or editor in chief? I can't remember which one he goes. Anyways, Jez on Xbox 2 yesterday did say that he has, again, take it with a grain of salt. Never know, but he's got confirmation that Xbox will be putting games on other platforms. Certain games will be going to other platforms. It's not going to be everything, but he has confirmed that they are going to do that. But he also said that others are going to be doing it as well, implying that potentially PlayStation and Nintendo will also be putting some of their games on other platforms in the future as well. It's a trend in the industry. We heard all the higher ups, at least from both Sony and Microsoft, talk about the sustainability, the budgets. We've heard those rumblings. Jim Ryan flat out there saying AAA isn't sustainable. Phil has insinuated that changes in the industry need to be considered due to certain things, hence why they moved in the direction they did with Game Pass and subscription services and all that kind of stuff. But this is the future that we've talked about here, Steel. Eventually, again, I believe that it'll be the subscription wars potentially down the road for everybody, that everybody you'll be able to access all the ecosystems just like we do now for movies, music. We'll access all of them on whatever device we're on. you'll still go to a Sony store or whatever, or an Xbox store, but it's all going to be there and you can access it without ever having a console or one piece of plastic or another piece of plastic. You won't have to make that choice anymore eventually. But they are starting there because it makes sense from a business standpoint to put your games elsewhere. We've always talked about that. If you really wanted to look at it from a profit standpoint, it only makes sense to put your games everywhere. Obviously, again, that's profitability. If you're not worried about your brand, if you're not worried about the selling the console, it only makes sense to put your games everywhere. So I think certain games from everybody are going to start showing up. So, but obviously Sony's insinuating still that we are going to start seeing more games day and date on PC. Obviously, they're probably going to push forward with their mobile plans. And so, yeah, this is the future, everybody. Love it or hate it. Okay. It's coming.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we gotta accept and deal with. Well, I think today I'm going to go ahead and I'll skip by the This Day in Gaming section just because I don't want to get into it. It shut down again in the middle of it. And then, yeah, that would just irritate me further. I'm already on the crux, but nonetheless, it'll be all right.
People don't understand how frustrating. They can probably understand, but they don't know. Steel, this is really hard for Steel. Like when things like this start happening, it's really frustrating and annoying to him. Like I get it. Like I understand completely. I hate when it happens, but Steel does. He wants to go boxing a few rounds, go a little Tekken on the tech.
No, it's just, especially when there's no reason.
When it doesn't make
for
sense.
It. I mean,
when it doesn't. Yeah.
I'm sitting here looking at everything and monitoring things, and I just monitoring something, and then OBS just closes just for no reason. I'm just okay. It's just also the professional side of it. I want to have a concise show. I know for anybody else, I think the biggest thing that kills me is the live portion of it. It's that stop and stop. It's like stop motion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're in a flow. We're talking about whatever. It'll be fixed for whoever's on the back end. You'll have that maybe a brief moment, but it'll be consistent for anybody that's watching it afterwards.
And then you just hear us apologizing.
Yeah,
what you didn't hear.
Exactly. Or experience. So audio listeners, sorry if it sounds kind of broke up a little bit, but nonetheless, when we get it out to you guys, it'll be one complete package. So hopefully that works. Nonetheless, I want to thank everybody for joining us on episode 135 for Living Split Screen. It's been a wonderful week, and it's only going to get more pumped up as we go. Tuesday, Suicide Squad releases. I believe there's going to be a Monday night release actually at midnight. I'm not going to probably do that. Got kids to get up in the morning. I'll just wake up in the morning and play then when I get my free time, a little bit of free time in the morning or whatever. So expect for some things to be coming at you live, raw and uncut. Then we're definitely going to be bringing that in. There's definitely going to be some Tekken coming for sure. I'm probably going to fill out my weekend with some of that. I'm definitely going to still be on some Palworld. I know my daughter was talking about jumping back in there, at least for a bit, for some time. Again, since we don't have dedicated servers on Xbox, it's turned me off a little bit because it's just the inconsistencies. I want other people to play and not I have to be playing this game for these other people to enjoy themselves as well, or else they feel like they're starting over. That is a little bit of a turnoff. I know it's a turnoff, can be a turnoff for me, someone I don't like continuously starting over or going to different places, not unless it's going to be consistent, right? Not every time I go to somebody's world it's completely I gotta start all over, but so there is that. You can find me, Steel Rain, everywhere. Steel Rain, the T is a 7. Type it into Google. It's the easiest way to find that information. Other than that, every Tuesday early afternoon, 11 a.m. Central, I'm going to be live with Mr. Boomstick XL on the Xbox Factor podcast. You get a lot of that good green news over there. A lot of Xbox talks, a lot of passion over there, bringing that intensity and the energy to the forefront for Boom. So shout out to Boom and the wonderful work that he does over there 5 days a week. And other than that, every Saturday morning right here with Living Split Screen, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, and 3 p.m. UK time. You can find us right here giving you that content that you can only find on this channel. That's that RTS perspective where we pull ourselves out of the world and look at the darker crevices of the map. pull our resources together so we can build up our own foundation. And then also the home of that ECP, the educated consumer perspective, because again, we do not work in the industry. We're just two guys that have a good amount of professional experience and a lot of gamer experience that we bring to the table. I want to have an overall arcing discussion about what's happening in the industry and talk about this passion that we have. Pong! Get these beautiful people out of here. Let them know where they can find you at. And again, although through all the issues that we had today, it's always a beautiful thing when I can chop it up with you on a Saturday morning, catch up, and kind of go from there, man. So much love.
Yeah, we're going to get some game time in too, brother. We got some stuff coming up. It's going to be a blast. And East Side Vandal, you keep rocking, man. He says, remember, hashtag this is not my Joker. East Side, I love it. I love it, Vandal. I love it, Vandal. I love it. You were cracking me up earlier with all your freaking statements. We're gonna have some fun, but I hope East Side, you jump in and at least catch some of the streams. Not that it's gonna change your mind at all. Again, doesn't have to. We're not here to do that. Play what you love what you play. You know what I always say. But I hope you jump into the streams and check it out anyways, because there is some good story to be had there for sure. Even though The Last of Us 2 wasn't for me, I still watched multiple people play through the entire game so that I could see what was going on. Yep.
General Spartan says Granblue Fantasy Relink Special Edition unlocks tomorrow night. Oh, I think that's on PlayStation.
Oh, PlayStation only. Correct. The PC does not. Steam, you can't even pre-order it yet.
No, you can't. You gotta wait for release. No,
you gotta wait for release. So yeah, that's gonna be PlayStation. Yeah.
But at least for those for those who are interested, if you're on PlayStation, for anybody that's playing it on PlayStation, just please go check it out. If you want some early touches on what that's bringing you, again. I'm locked in. So yeah.
No crossplay between PlayStation and PC.
Yeah.
Only PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
So anyways, and also Suicide Squad, we did confirm cross progression is there still as long as you own both copies. As long as you own both copies.
Okay.
So you got to buy a copy. Buy a copy on Xbox. You buy a copy on PC. Cross progression is enabled. Freaking big news because I may eventually double dip.
That bodes really well for that game. Yes. I mean, you might not have to double dip. We get you set up on that TV, Paul.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting set up on a TV for sure. I'm just saying I might still want to own an Xbox. We'll see.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
well, I mean, that's fair.
We'll see. Anyways, everybody, great show. Thank you all again. Sorry for the problems. We apologize a lot for tech. It just we hate it. It's terrible for the show. It's terrible for you guys. It's terrible for us. Sorry about that. I'm glad most of you stuck it out. Appreciate every single one of you. You didn't. I still appreciate you for being here while you were. Absolutely. I understand completely. But thank you all for another great episode of Living Split Screen. Again, great conversations in there. Not such a great news week. More negative than it was positive this week. But man, do we have games coming? And I want, as a gamer, right? We talk about more than just the games. But as the gamer goes, I am so freaking excited for how 2024 is kicking off. This year is going to be simply fantastic. And if January is any sign of it, this will go down. I know we already said this last year. This will go down as one of the GOATs. Like, this is going to be a crazy year. So get ready, buckle up for that. But thank you all for joining us for another episode of Living Split Screen. You know how to find me, Pong Sol on X, formerly known as Twitter, Pong Sol on Xbox. Otherwise, tonight, it's the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel, PTK, Fuzzy, myself. The best way to end your Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time. The Shop Podcast, huge turnouts for the Shop on Saturdays now. Love to see it. Love to see the familiar faces and the new people. Come on by. Check us out. We don't know if we have guests tonight. We usually do, but none announced right now. But usually one or two, like Steele and Mav, constantly are showing up. And I get to talk with my favorite people again. It's freaking amazing. But PTK will probably have something lined up. And then Tuesdays, like Steele said, join Boom, Double Barrel Gaming, All Good Things Green, Xbox Factor Podcast, and my brother right here, Steele, on panel every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Be there for that. And then Thursdays, PM in the PM, over on the Fun Speculation Network, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. Pong and Mav in the PM, man. Come by, check it out. Two-man show like this. We have a great time catching up during the week, just like Steele and I do. Be there Thursday nights for that one. And then back at it Friday nights where the fam gets together for Xbox Ultimate. Only 4 of us last night. Quick show last night because Mav wanted to go play Tekken 8. So, but we have lots of laughs on Xbox Ultimate, but we also talk a lot of good gaming, get different perspectives in there from the rest of the family during the week. So be there for that, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. Otherwise, Golden Age of Gaming is here, folks. Get out there. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I hope you have a great one. Play what you love. Love what you play. Nothing but love and respect to each and every single one of you. Choo-choo, motherfuckers. Steel, get us out of here, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful girls, y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay safe out there, and we'll catch you on the next one, episode 136. Much love and stay safe.
See you, Mav. Later.
Mav. What's going on?